Welcome to Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus, presented by Q Health. From the shadow of the nation's capital, a stunning day for baseball. Game 2 of some division rivalry as well. The New York Mets traveling into D.C. to take on the Nationals, and fans are pouring in for one that you cannot miss. Max Scherzer is returning to Nationals Park for the first time since departing the team, and of course, bringing in that World Series ring, but he'll be facing one of the best hitters in the game in Juan Soto. Guys, this is one that you do not want to miss. And Hannah, for you, you've gotten to cover a lot of Scherzer's career, but he's been prolific.
Yeah, he had a lot of career before I came along, but Scherzer is only getting better as he gets older. In his time with the Nationals, he won 2 Cy Young Awards. He has a 3rd, threw 2 no-hitters, and you mentioned that World Series where he was incredible in that performance. But the Nationals should be afraid, because when he goes up against a team that he has played for in the past, he is 10-0 with nearly 14 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Well, it's certainly been something to watch, and he was dominant, arguing that he wanted to have every single ounce of innings pitched that he could going through that postseason for the Nationals. We got to talk to Buck Showalter a little bit earlier, but, you know, CY, you said that you might have a little bit of competition for Scherzer when he's got to face off with his old buddy Juan Soto.
We might have some competition, and that's because Soto's a lock for me for MVP. He's one of those guys, talking to Dave Martinez before the game, he's a guy, when he gets into that box, there's nobody who competes more than he does. I mean, he's a guy who's trying to drive the ball through the middle of the field, leads the league in oppo homers, OPS leaders within the game with some pretty elite guys right there. And when you're a guy who can walk, who can hit for power, who can hit for average, that's how your OPS goes through the roof, and he's one of the best in the game to do that. If you see what he's done, you have to compare him to the most elite players of all time, which is how you see he joins an elite club with Mickey Mantle in there.
It's unbelievable when you put Mantle next to Soto, and yet this 23-year-old is doing it. But it's against him tonight as he goes against the veteran, Max Scherzer, coming back to see all of those Nationals faithful and that old lineup as well. We've got more right here on Apple TV Plus. About as much patience as his starter for this evening, Scherzer. Of course, Scherzer is going to be facing Josiah Gray, who he was traded for last year from the Nationals to the Dodgers. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Mets lineup and how Showalter has filled out things this evening. Brandon Nimmo leading things off. Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor, and Pete Alonso will clean everybody up. Eduardo Escobar is at third base this evening. Robinson Cano, the designated hitter. Mark Hanna in left field. Jeff McNeil at second. And the backstop, Tomas Nido, will be rounding things out. Of course, you take a look at Pete Alonso, what he's been doing so far. He led every offensive category for the Mets last season. They were the 4th lowest scoring club last year, so he's certainly looking to lead the charge and turn things around in a very tough NL East. So you can take a look at the lights there. Josiah Gray had stepped out onto the mound. Davey Martinez actually had to come back out and remove him because for safety precautions, you're thinking, yes, we can still see the field. However, Chris Young, I'm sure you can attest to this, those lights do make a difference.
Especially in night games. Especially in night games, those lights make a difference. And normally with the new technology, these lights are able to flip back on pretty quickly, kind of like when you're at home. They have a lot of LED lights, but these don't look like
that one switch.
Yeah, these don't look like the updated LEDs, but some stadiums do have them to where they do turn on and off very easily.
And you can take a look now. Some of the Nationals are making their way back off the field again, pointing up to the lights there. We've got a great look from Alcides Escobar. He said, hey man, it's dark. We can't do this just yet. Again, it is dusk. It is a gorgeous day in DC, especially compared to yesterday.
You see Alcides pointing up at the lights. He said, hey y'all, we gotta face Scherzer today.
I would really like to have a mic on Buck right now.
I need some lights. And Scherzer's probably upset right now.
Hannah, if you could read that mind. That's
Max
a look.
or Buck?
I think both would not be censored for TV.
This could be a good
he's
strategy.
going back down. See, look at Soto, though. He doesn't care. He's having a great time.
And this is why Soto is who he is. This is how he's a 23-year-old leader right here. Because you control what you control. Have we not talked about that this weekend? All eyes on the young Juan Soto, who has been launched into being the face of this program. And you see Pete Alonso across the way there. Of course, they're still trying to wrap up a deal with Soto. We'll get to more of that during the game this evening. We've actually got Soto mic'd up, so let's see if we can tune in on that microphone a little bit.
I appreciate Apple TV for everything. I would love to have some Apple TV for my teammates, for everybody. So, shout out to you. I love you all.
Hey, that's a smart man right there. Go ahead and plug your whole squad. Let's get Apple TVs, phones, AirPods.
Yeah, he didn't ask for enough.
iPads, get everything in the clubhouse.
You got it. Well, and actually, it's interesting you bring that up, CY, because with Apple's expanded partnership this year, they are expanding those dugout iPad systems that they started incorporating last year. So you will see almost every single team using those. They've actually started, those video rooms do not exist anymore. You will not be going back in from the dugout to check that, and they're all run by Major League Baseball. So you can load up charts, you can put stuff into them before. we got all the time in the world here, the Eagle laying out on the dugout, but they've got a lot of technology now right in their hands. And Juan Soto wants some more of it. You can't blame him for it. Look at that.
All right, everybody is off the field, so it's all up to Screech to entertain us.
Well, while Buck is giving some people his peace of mind down in the dugout, how about we take a little break here? We are waiting game 2. Mets taking on the Nationals. Max Scherzer. We are in a light outage delay, but we have got some Friday Night Baseball for you. You're watching Apple TV+.
Light delay, but it gave me a little time to grab our guy Juan Soto here. Juan, you have a little message, right?
Yes, I do. To all my Apple people, we need Apple TV for all my teammates, coaches, everybody. We need headsets, we need phones, we need all that you have, so we can lock in with everything.
I think we have some connections, I would say, right, guys? But listen, you're going up against your friend Max Scherzer here tonight. How do you feel about going up against him?
I'm pretty excited to be out there. I know it's going to be fun to face him. I've been seeing him for 4 years, doing great, so now to face him is going to be another great moment.
All right, we'll let you get back out there. Thanks so much, Juan.
Thank you.
Melanie, guys, we'll send it back to you.
Brooke, you got to ask for the plug. I think we're all very aware of that, as Josh Bell hanging out over the lines as well. You think if the rest of them heard that conversation going on. Juan Soto, it's Christmas time for him right now. He's got the list made out.
He's double backing on it.
He's a real leader. He's out here trying to get his guys that stuff. You know, we talked to Davey about this earlier. He was a lead by example guy for a while, and now he's taking on a voice and speaking up for his people and their needs for more Apple gear.
We'll get him, we can use the AirPods for part of that pitch comm there. Well, let's take a look here, because last night, Juan Soto, if you can imagine, home run 99, forget about it.
It's just such a small margin for error. Early in the game, he was able to throw the fastball up, get it by him, but it's a game of inches. You get that ball down the zone just a little bit, that launch that he has in his swing, that's a homer all day long.
And you know what's great when you get to look at that swing is people ask about the shimmy. You've talked about the shimmy. He gets down low, but you see in the swing that he's getting down low the way that shimmy goes. Like, it's not without cause.
It's not without cause. He's trying to feel his legs under him, and everybody talks about the Soto shuffle. And when he came into the league, everybody thought he was showboating or doing something like that or challenging the pitcher. But when talking to Dave Martinez before the game, if he gets in the box, like, he's not going to let anybody throw him off. He's going to do his thing. He's going to play his game. He's going to continue to be confident, and he's not going to allow the pitcher to dictate how he feels in the box.
Well, I think the one thing that I really loved, I don't know if you got to watch that clip in depth last night, but the little boy that caught Soto's home run, his dad stood there next to him, jumping up and down, screaming, "That's my boy, that's my boy," over and over again. It was some Soto-esque energy that you saw there, but that's what we love, having the fans back in the stands, having fun with it. I mean, take a look at him. Like, this is a guy that never has fun.
It's so many different types of players. So we see Soto here, ultimate, elite player in the league. And then you go across and you see Scherzer, and how two different great players can go about their business completely different ways. Some guys have to be loose and relaxed to go out there and be themselves. Other guys need to be locked in, borderline make themselves angry, borderline make themselves like go into a different zone outside their own body to go to this alter ego to get the best out of themselves.
That home run gets all the love, but in a later at-bat in last night's game, Soto walked, and that's his other strength, his incredible eye at the plate. He led the league in on-base percentage last year, and that's what he's really known for, and that's what makes him such a difficult at-bat. He makes you throw strikes, and then he punishes you for it.
He's like the perfect blend of the new school hitter, you know, that wants to hit the ball out of the ballpark, but also the old school player who still values what a good at-bat looks like and what the value of getting on base means and hitting the ball over the field. So he's a guy for me. I'm fascinated by guys who do things that I couldn't do on the field. The fact that he can just go out there and drive the ball the other way, hit home runs the other way, it's just so impressive to watch.
Well, we have got a show that is just dying to get going here. But for now, let's go ahead and send it back to the studio. LG has got us covered on all the action around the league.
Yeah, listen, Newman, we had so much anticipation for this matchup. We just wanted to draw it out a little bit longer as they get things figured out there in the national.
Drama.
Yeah, exactly, in the nation's capital. You see some lights beginning to turn back on, so hopefully we're not too far away from first pitch between these two teams. Mad Max, once again, if you're just tuning in here to Apple TV Plus for Friday Night Baseball, for the first of our doubleheader, Mad Max Scherzer back in his old stomping grounds, taking on his former team, Los. You want to talk about a game delay here? Rain delays, weather, pretty typical. Have you ever experienced anything
even
kind of bizarre like this?
Well, this actually happens more often than you think, especially like in the minor leagues, you know?
Yeah.
But tornado warning.
Tornado warning?
Yeah.
So what happened in that case? What do you do?
You go for shelter right away.
All right, taking shelter. It sounds like we have the lights back on and we're about to get underway. Let's throw it back out.
Thanks, guys. Well, Josiah Gray is back out on the mound now, and he's going to go through some warm-up pitches now. And Carlos, it's so great that you mentioned that, because all the years in the minors, yeah, those lights are not super reliable. So you're hoping a guy like Gray is a little used to these hiccups. But you take a look here again at his overall stats from the 2021 season, that 5.48 ERA, but again, a rookie who's still figuring out a very much beefed up NL East. And I mean, see why I know that's not your thing, but how as a starter, if you tried to get in that head, we know Scherzer has that set plan. So does guys like Clayton Kershaw. So how does this affect him that he had to come right back out again?
I think players, I mean, we're all to some extent creatures of habit. You know, you have your routine. You like the, you know, the timing of everything. You know, it's for you to feel ready to play. With him being a young guy, I mean, he would never say anything or say like it's a problem. Luckily, the delay wasn't too long. I could see Scherzer having an issue, maybe being back in the cage under the tunnel, throwing a few pitches to make sure that his arm feels ready to go.
I spoke to Josiah yesterday, and he said before games, he's actually pretty chill. He says he'll text people back if they text him. All he likes to do is go for a walk and listen to some podcasts.
Well, see, well, it sounds like, according to you, Scherzer used to be a little more like that. We got to talk to Davey Martinez earlier, and he said, nah, like that has been his Nationals career of just being that locked-in guy. So he kind of gets the younger version of what Scherzer used to be like in his start days in Josiah. Let's go ahead and take a look at Gray's arsenal. Brought to you by StatCast 3D, powered by Google Cloud.
So Gray coming in today with the four-seam fastball, the curve, slider, change. I mean, he's a guy, he's definitely going to use that curveball in big-time situation. His fastball plays up to 95 miles an hour, but he's going to go to that curve for an out pitch.
Now, the changeup has been that hot pitch that's been talked about very widely over the last 2 seasons, so we'll get into more of that. As you saw, just at 3% usage for Gray so far in his young career, but we are underway as he delivers a strike to Brandon Nimmo.
Nimmo in his walk year, so he will be trying to put up his best numbers.
He is, and he's paid his dues. You know, he's been a guy who's gone up and down, who's dealt with some injuries, but when he gets consistent playing time, he can get on base with the best of them.
And we shouted out Soto's on-base percentage, so we got to give some love to Brandon Nimmo, whose eye is second only to Juan Soto's. He had an OBP over 400 in 3 of the past 4 seasons.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's a prototypical leadoff hitter, like you used to see. The leadoff hitter's normally taking the first pitch. He's trying to get his teammates to be able to see, you know, his arsenal, you know, the arsenal that Gray is using out there today, so he can go back and report that to his teammates on how he looks. He's comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. He has the 2nd lowest chase rate in baseball behind Soto. So he trusts, that what he sees, he's not going to attack it unless it's in the zone.
Gray ahead of Nimmo with a 1-2 count. For a young guy like Gray to follow behind somebody like Patrick Corbin, who's been there, he's seen a lot of opening days. I mean, the pomp and circumstance, it can really rattle you up. You get all those emotions, you get a little high strung maybe watching it. How big, though, is that for somebody like Gray to follow behind Corbin?
I think he understands the importance that, that he is for this rotation, especially with Ross down, especially with Strasburg down. Gray understands that he is a vital piece of this rotation, so you can't get wrapped up in just being the young guy anymore. You have to understand, hey, I'm here to play and I'm here to, help my team win. At this point in the season, nobody cares about the projections or where somebody feels like you're going to place or automatically puts you in pin for last place. You're going out there to make a name for yourself and to continue to play well.
Well, he's making a name for himself here. A strikeout of Brandon Nimmo gets things started for Josiah Gray. 1 down. It'll bring up Starling Marte.
Right here, you see, he's able to snap that slider off right there on the inside corner to him. Nimmo swings right over it.
Well, Marte digs in. We've got some really cool news just now, because if you can imagine on these Apple TV Plus games, we've got some good technological advantages. Apple said the Apple TV 4K devices are on their way, and they want to hear from Soto and his teammates their favorite shows on Apple TV Plus.
Oh.
We got to go into the whole lot of it here now.
Wait, does that work? We just say into these microphones what we want and someone makes it happen?
No, Hannah, that's not how it works. Soto says what he wants, and things happen. We got to get that right. We are not Soto.
Man, it's so good to be a generational baseball talent.
This one on the ground, over to third. Franco on the run with a leap over to first. Josh Bell makes the scoop. Marte retired.
It's a nice play to keep you loose early in the game. Franco knows that Marte can run, so he understands he has to come in, one-hand that ball, get the throw off as quick as possible. Great scoop by Bell.
And Maikel Franco getting some time out there. Carter Kieboom was injured right before the start of the season, and so Franco, who they had picked up, wins out in having that advantage for now. Kieboom out with an arm strain. Of course, though, we did talk to Martinez, and he said that he will be back up. He's not done getting some chances as they try to take another look at one of the guys that they're trying to fill that big third base spot.
Yeah, Kieboom's development could be crucial if the Nats are going to make this a rapid rebuild, and that's what they say it is.
In stands Francisco Lindor. Strike for the switch hitter. Lindor trying to bounce back after a tough year last year, but there has been nothing but glowing positivity that he has found every adjustment and change he needed to make, both internally and externally, for the game and really figure out this Mets clubhouse.
Yeah, man, we're talking to Buck in the clubhouse. Lindor came into spring training exactly like Buck was hoping. You're not holding on to last year's stress. You're not carrying that over into this next year. You have some great pieces that, the Mets have put in place to build around you. You don't have that same pressure on yourself, and you start from scratch. Come out here, do your thing, and carry over the successful spring.
Lindor with a towering blast out to left field. This one shallow, playable, and right at the wall. There's a collision there as Hernandez takes a look back at Escobar. He's got to unhook his glove out of the netting. That one went into the stratosphere.
Well, it's a lot of ground to cover out here. Just happened to hit that Bermuda Triangle in foul ground. Perfect spot. Everybody came out healthy. Lindor has new life.
You have to imagine that front seat row for those fans, just seeing these two guys coming full speed towards them. Hey there.
Gray was able to get Nimmo with that slider right under the bat. Be curious to see if he attacks Lindor the same way early in the game.
Here comes Gray, and he gets Lindor down to a knee. 2 strikeouts for the young Josiah Gray. A clean top of the first. And it's time for Mad Max. You're watching Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus. They held him in as he took on a special ceremony tonight. There's no holding him back. He is ready to go and is greeted with a standing ovation that you would expect nonetheless. And it's immediately a first pitch bunt down the line. They're going to make Scherzer field this one himself. And he's working about as quickly as you would expect him to.
And that's all part of the plan. Right out the gate, Cesar Hernandez says, you know what? In spring training, he had that tweaked hammy. Let me get this bunt down, make him run a little bit, but unfortunately he bunted it right back to Scherzer. It was an easy play. But if he could have pulled that down that right, that first base line, could have made, Scherzer get on his horse right out the gate and kind of see where his hammy really stands.
Well, we've been hearing it's all systems relatively a go for Scherzer, a guy who's been very self-aware of his own body. And here's the matchup. Juan Soto also showing bunt. He takes a strike. Now, the two have described this matchup. Scherzer doesn't show a lot of external reaction, but Soto was just excited. We saw him talking to Brooke. He was ready to go.
These are two ultimate competitors going head-to-head right here. This is going to be fun to watch. Today. I wish we could watch it all season, but we're going to see it today. And Soto's not going to give in. And Scherzer won't either.
Soto very aware of his zone, and that's been one of his hallmarks. He can walk, he can hit, he can homer.
Oh, how lovely is it to be that good and be smiling in the box while you're facing Max Scherzer.
Soto with a shot up again, high out into shallow left field. In comes Mark Canha. He makes the catch. And 2 down. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Nationals lineup. Again, is filled out by Dave Martinez, trying to go against his old guy in Max Scherzer. Take a look. Cesar Hernandez in the leadoff spot. Juan Soto, you just saw him batting second. Nelson Cruz, Josh Bell cleaning things up. Keibert Ruiz, the backstop right in the middle. Yadier Hernandez in left field. Michael Franco at third base. Alcides Escobar, the shortstop, and D. Strange Gordon in center field. He's getting some outfield looks. The Nationals had him listed as their outfielder to start the season, and all things sound like he's had a pretty good time out there. Immediate contact for Nelson Cruz as well. Man, they don't really care what you would expect from a guy like Cruz. They're going to be aggressive.
They're going to be aggressive today. They're assuming Scherzer is going to come in attacking the zone, which he does. Which Scherzer will give up some homers because he is so aggressive in the zone. And there's no reason to give a guy like that a free strike, because if you get behind in the count, especially to right-handed hitters, that devastating slider is coming, or that split.
And he's going 3 for 3 in first pitch strikes this evening.
Cruz is particularly good against Max Scherzer so far in his career, slashing .429, .448, .857 with 3 home runs in 29 plate appearances. It's tough to be that good against Max Scherzer.
Well, it's also tough to be Nelson Cruz.
And talking to Cruz before the game, he was...
Ooh. Well, you're going to have to tell us Cruz's thoughts here in a minute, as that's a strikeout. 9 pitches for Max Scherzer is all it took. 3 up and 3 down. We stay scoreless after 1 at Nationals Park. You're watching Friday Night Baseball.
Josiah Gray facing Max Scherzer. Now, we talked about this matchup earlier in the game. Josiah was actually part of that blockbuster trade that sent Max Scherzer and Trey Turner to the Dodgers just last summer. And who else was part of that trade was Keibert Ruiz. Now, they were just both prospects at the time. And now you would imagine being prospects in a trade like that, you'd feel a lot of pressure, but Josiah doesn't feel that. He said it's actually a good thing. He said that it's a testament to the organization that they evaluated and traded their top-tier talent. Now they're just excited to be a part of the Nationals and be the backbone of this organization, guys.
Yeah, Brooke, that's awesome. And we talk about this all the time. You have to have the mentality in this game of failing odds, that you're going to go out there and you're going to be the best regardless of what anybody else thinks, because you're not long to last if you don't have that. He's facing off against another one of the best in Pete Alonso.
If you're a young player and you get traded for Max Scherzer, I think that's great for you going to your new team. You understand that they're invested in you, they believe in you, and that you're going to get a fair shake and a good opportunity to go out there and show what you can do, which as a player, that's all you want, is a fair shot. It's so many players out there who can play on an everyday basis, but it's somebody in front of them or somebody blocking them, and which could very well happen if you're with the Dodgers. But you get an opportunity to come over here to the Nationals and lead the team and let them build around you.
When you talk about trying to come up through those minor league systems, there are so many different developmental programs now they can get involved in. And Brooke, we heard that, you know, Josiah took part in those as well.
Yeah, he was he's an alum of the MLB development program where he took part in the Breakthrough Series back in 2014. Now, he is just one of 20 alumni who actually made it to the majors, now including Mets' Dominic Smith and another familiar name, guys, not in this sport, but Patrick Mahomes. Pretty cool, right?
He took that development, went the other way. Pete Alonso pops this one up. It's out of play, well behind the net.
It's a lot of former baseball players that ended up being really good quarterbacks in the NFL. You got Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson.
You know, Tom Brady got
Josh Allen, I think.
Tom Brady tried to be a catcher, and they cut him.
He should have pitched.
Well, here's the thing. It was one of the I'm not going to name names here. He did coach Zach Greinke when he first came to Kansas City. He was Tom's coach, and he said, you need to pick a different sport. It worked out, I guess. Alonso out with an open swing at Josiah Gray, and you can see that frustration as he walks off, but Gray has been so deceptive, that time coming in with the curve.
That's his bread and butter. I mean, he has the 3rd highest curveball whiff rate in baseball, right behind Craig Kimbrell and Corbin Burns. So you understand if he gets into situations, especially with big power hitters like Pete Alonso, he's going to that.
So not afraid to step up to some of these bigger bats this evening. And Alonso, he's had a really tough spring. He's trying to get back on his feet as Eduardo Escobar stands in, and immediately it's another curve, first pitch strike.
Yeah, Mel, and there was a scary moment late in the game last night. Pete Alonso hit sort of in the shoulder and sort of in that chin strap that comes down from the helmet. And when he stood up, he was bleeding out of his mouth. He was able to walk off the field. He's back out here today. I talked to him a little bit on the field, and he said he felt fine, but that's got to hurt.
Well, thank God for that chin strap that he had. The chin strap was something that was always very uncomfortable for me to wear, but when you see things like that happen, it makes you very grateful that he had it on.
And there's a lot of players around the league who end up really wearing those personally, as this one out towards right field, but it's up high, brings in Soto. He calls off everybody, and Juan Soto makes the catch. Take a look back here, though, at last night's ball game, and Pete Alonso, who was having himself a night until the 9th, and it glanced very quickly. It looks like a direct hit. He said he was immediately checking for his teeth. You see the hand over his mouth there. Glances off of his shoulder into the ear flap of the helmet. 3 total Mets players were hit by pitches last night. Dave Martinez, the Nationals manager, said he was going to call Buck after the game, and more or less, you know, you apologize for it. It wasn't intentional. To which Showalter said, "I'm not here to comment on intention or not." But he also clearly acknowledged that, yeah, we're still trying to find grip as we continue to change the baseball.
After Pete Alonso got hit, Starling Marte pointed at the Nats dugout and held up 3 fingers like, that's 3 times that you've hit us now. Like you said, Mel, those hit by pitches are going up, and that is not a good trend. That's not what MLB wanted when they cracked down on sticky stuff last year, but it does appear to be a side effect.
Yeah, there has to be some happy medium. Talking to Buck before the game, he said, I mean, especially in these cold weather months, that ball can be like a cue ball when it's cold outside, and you need these pitchers to have some type of way to have a grip. Maybe if you have some approved substance right behind the mound to where both teams are able to use the same substance. He compared it to having hitters go out there without pine tar on their bats, or you just have rosin and tell hitters to go out there and just hit with the dry bat. I mean, you would see bats flying out of guys' hands left and right.
0-2 is well high to Cano. The Mets were the 4th most hit team last year. They had 94 total hit by pitches, so they're trying to take that a little less. As you look at the shift on, Michael Franco now playing behind second, leaving Alcides Escobar to man the left side of the infield by himself against Cano. You're not going to be able to see that shift for too much longer. Banning the shift became a pretty big hot button topic, especially in this year's CBA negotiations. And a lot of players will go one way or the other on it. They'll say either hit against the shift or it doesn't need to be here anymore. Big swing and a miss by Cano. Josiah Gray, 4 strikeouts. He's through 2, holding it all scoreless, but Max Scherzer coming out for more when we return. All right, well, as Josh Bell comes to the plate, he's walking up to the tune of Mile High by James Blake featuring Travis Scott. You can check out the entire Nationals playlist on Apple Music. Really cool feature that they've got going on right now. That's always the question we get from the fans. Hey, that song, I got to know what it is. They're trying to pull out their phone, pull Shazam up and get to it. Well, Apple has done it for you, and Josh Bell, he's done it here very quickly against Scherzer. The brief teammates, he'll take first on a hit by pitch.
I think you'll take that right now. You'll take a hit by pitch. If you're going into the game and you're facing Scherzer, and you know I'm going to get probably at least 3 at-bats off of him, if I can find a way to work a walk and get 1 hit at least, it could be a good day. So you go up your first at-bat, you get hit by a pitch, and eliminates one of those at-bats. So now all he has to do is sneak a knock in there somewhere. That's a good day.
Although I'm sure Scherzer was not happy with the grip on that ball. That's just what we were speaking about earlier.
Well, here's the other half of that trade package. Keibert Ruiz standing in to face Scherzer for the first time. So as a kid, he was highly regarded coming up through the Dodgers system as a backstop prospect. So it's no doubt that when you're seeing the names of Scherzer and Trey Turner going across, you're going to send some big up-and-coming names back over.
This was a great trade for Ruiz right here. This goes back to exactly what I was talking about last inning, about opportunity. If you're over in LA and you have Will Smith there catching every single day, you're not going to get the chance to go out there and show what you can do. He had a great game yesterday, solid at-bats every time up. You can, learn this pitching staff and continue to get better.
And as tough as it must have been for Nats fans to see Scherzer and Trey Turner leave, getting Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray in return is a good sign that they don't think this rebuild is going to take long.
Well, he rips this one up into right center field for a base hit. Rounding second, digging in for third goes Josh Bell, and he's got it no contest. As they throw back over to second, runners on the corners. Keibert Ruiz with a big knock.
A great swing where he get the fastball up in the zone, and there was 2 great things that happened right here. If you watch Josh Bell, he knows where Nimmo's playing. Nimmo is shaded to left center. He has to move to his left to get to that ball. Josh Bell recognizes that and understands that he can go first to third. Now you have a runner on third base with no outs.
Nationals have been working overtime this spring, not only because it was a quick spring, but Martinez trying to really get into a young club and start to eradicate some of the errors they were seeing last year. As Yadiel Hernandez takes the first pitch strike.
That has to feel good for Ruiz. You get a hit off the guy that you were traded for. That has to feel good. I think you go out there with a little chip on your shoulder, say, hey, I'm the better player tonight. I'm coming after you.
That's true. We talked so much about how it must feel to be Josiah Gray, but Ruiz was part of that trade as well, and now they're both here in the majors.
Scherzer with the 0-1. This one up and out to center field. Nimmo going back to the track, backing up in front of the wall, and he makes the catch, avoids falling down. Josh Bell will lope in from third, and it's the Nationals taking a 1-0 lead over the Mets. RBI single, Yadiel Hernandez.
It's a great piece of hitting right there, and then watching Nimmo go after that ball. I don't see the flags moving too much out here tonight, but that ball clearly carried much further than, when I see now, actually it got lost in the sky. This is the twilight time, everybody, so fly balls right now. It's about a 15-minute period during a game that it's really tough to see fly balls, and Nimmo lost that ball for a second, but luckily he was able to recover, and that sky right there is very tough to see the ball.
Nimmo still has a stiff neck, but it's a sacrifice fly for Hernandez, leaving Ruiz on at first. So Nimmo a little bit of an uphill there, already working through some body soreness and then having to play straight up. Infield shifted to the left now for Michael Franco.
Him drifting on that ball might have allowed Ruiz to stay on first base right there, because if he's posted at the wall for that, Ruiz has time to go back to first base and tag and try to get to second base with 1 out.
Scherzer, and it's in low to Franco.
Scherzer's missing a little bit all glove side. It seems like he's pulling the ball a little bit today. He's trying to find his rhythm, and the Nationals try to get on him before he finds it.
Well, this was another discussion as well. Scherzer doesn't want to pitch too far inside like he used to because, again, we go back to still trying to find a good grip. He's got a good one there.
That's a pitch that separates great pitchers from just good pitchers, is that even though you get into a 2-0 count, a hitter's count, he's still trying to make a quality pitch and still able to paint the corners as opposed to having to throw a ball right down the middle.
Quick reaction for Nido as he checks back on Ruiz. Franco ahead in the count. Alcides Escobar on deck. Nationals trying to extend this 1-0 lead early. Franco swings a drive deep out to right field. Backs up Marte right at the track, and he makes the catch. Retires Franco, and 2 down. Well, Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus is presented by Q Health, the most accurate COVID-19 self-test trusted by Major League Baseball. And sponsored in part by Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. And by the Eat Fresh Refresh at Subway. Wonder if got Juan Soto requesting some Subway footlongs down in the dugout to go with all that 4K technology as well.
Hey, he has pull. Gotta know when you're hot, know when you're the guy.
2 down, Alcides Escobar stands in. First pitch strike to the shortstop.
Although Scherzer was missing a little bit with that breaking ball, he's going to continue to use it, continue to try to find a feel for it because he knows he's going to need it later in the game.
Escobar swats this out to right. It'll find its way into the stands. That's a nice opening weekend souvenir.
It's a good signing for the Nats to bring Escobar back on a 1-year deal. He's a veteran player, you know, plays good defense, can put the bat on the ball. He's not going to walk a whole lot or drive the ball too much, but he can put the ball in play and make things happen.
Made his bounce back in Japan in the 2020 season. As he's set down here by Scherzer, second strikeout of the evening for Max. But it's the Nationals with a 1-0 lead on a sacrifice fly after 2. Welcome back to Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus, presented by Q Health. I'm Melanie Newman alongside Chris Young, Hannah Kaiser, Brooke Fletcher here at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. A beautiful night for Game 2. Josiah Gray taking on Max Scherzer, and you can look at some of that iPad technology going on. Pete Alonso, he's getting ready for his next at-bat. But for now, it's Mark Canha's turn against Josiah Gray. He's worked a clean 2 innings so far, 4 punch-outs.
Yeah, he's having a great start. He's an interesting story. Coming out of high school, he only had 1 scholarship offer. He grew up a Yankees fan.
Canha puts this one out into shallow left field, racing towards the line. It'll tuck into the stands, and Hannah, you're allowed to continue.
Thank you. Grew up a Yankees fan outside New York City. Wanted to be a shortstop like Derek Jeter. He was a 2-way player in college initially, and then at a college showcase, he was pitching, as he does. He played shortstop, also pitched, and he asked a friend to go stand behind the scout, see how he was doing, and his friend ran over and he said, "Dude, you're hitting 94." And he thought, I think I might have to just pitch. At that point, he still wasn't sure that he had the chance to go pro, but he really just wanted to work in baseball. One of the things he told me was he wanted to work in baseball however he could. He had a friend of a friend or somebody who had Joe Torre's email, drafted up an email saying,
this one right down the line and fair by the slimmest of margins. A sliding pickup from Bell, sliding in for second goes Canha, and he's out. Mark Canha on the fly, thought he had it with just this little squib shot, and yet here comes the Nationals D.
And what an athletic play by Josh Bell right there. Being able to, first of all, I mean, Canha, what a great piece of hitting, having a check swing. What you're hoping is a double down the line on the check swing. You oops him right over the base, but you see Josh Bell hustling, making a great slide and getting rid of the ball right away. Perfect one-hop throw and a great tag to get him out.
at that Soto reaction there with Bell. And let's give some ups to first base umpire Jordan Baker getting out of the way of that one down the line. He's got Ryan Addington and Mark Carlson out on the field with him. Chris Guccione is behind the plate.
And I had no problem with Canna running right there. That had to be a perfect executed play for Bell to get him out right there. And sometimes it happens.
Canna stood out on second base for a little while there, like he thought they might challenge it, but they did not. That was just a perfectly clean defensive play by the Nationals.
So with Canna out, we wish a happy 30th to Jeff McNeil at the plate, the lefty with that beautiful 500 batting average on the second day of the season. He homered for his 29th. He's trying to do it again. We'll take one more look here, though, at the play for Canna.
I mean, you couldn't place the ball in a better spot. And it looks like Canna might have had a point. I just don't know through replay if you could be 100% sure that that foot was able to sneak in by the glove.
I asked the Mets if they did anything for Jeff McNeil's birthday. I said, do you guys have any cake? And they said, well, we don't really do cake pregame.
Deep fly out to right field, heading for the foul pole, and it takes a bounce off. Jeff McNeil, happy birthday. He goes back-to-back jacks on that trip around the sun. That's a lucky day for him. He ties this thing all up at 1 apiece. He's got his first of the season.
And with that smile on his face, I feel like he knows. I feel like he knows that he went deep on his birthday last year.
Did that birthday juice.
He got the birthday pop.
Did they have cake pops?
They did not. What they had instead, I just texted this to our producers so maybe we can get it shown to you. They had a happy birthday squirrel sign. That's what they call them. And I'm not sure when that photo was taken. It looks like maybe high school, maybe middle school.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil, known as the Flying Squirrel.
Tomas Nido in. Do you know why he's the Flying Squirrel?
Do you know why?
Well, I don't know. You just seem very confident about it. I don't usually say that about people's nicknames.
I was hoping you were asking a
like,
rhetorical...
oh, he's the lean asparagus over here.
We will definitely find out by the end of the game.
We didn't prep why they call him the Flying Squirrel. I think it had something to do with them calling Pete Alonso Polar Bear Pete. At one point, there was a whole menagerie in the Mets clubhouse. That's what I remember. I remember seeing a shirt, had a lot of animals on it.
So one out, and we're all tied up now.
With the level of success that Gray has on his breaking balls, and the fact that he already has a few strikeouts with that pitch, what you expect to see the Mets hitters doing is trying to attack the fastball. And that's what McNeil was able to do right there, was able to get a fastball and turn on it.
Ball put in play, shallow up the infield. Franco with the stretch by Bell. 5-3. They set down Nido.
And here McNeil says, hey, your breaking ball's really good. Let's take that fastball in and take our chances on that one. He pulls his hands in, and it's very tough to keep that ball fair. I mean, that ball is on the inside black. McNeil's able to pull his hands in and keep that ball fair.
Lindor confident there. You got to look at the birthday boy, Jeff McNeil, guys. He is the Flying Squirrel going back to his Long Beach days, because apparently his blonde goatee whiskers were long enough and squirrel-esque.
Do squirrels have whiskers?
They do. I have pet squirrels.
I do too.
Base hit for Brandon Nimmo. And the Mets are really now finding their rhythm against Josiah Gray. You had,
I'm sorry. Both of you had pet squirrels?
Well,
who was joking here?
My family at home, we make the squirrels. I live in Houston. There's a lot of squirrels out there. They come to my window. They come to my window. They stand up and they put their hands together and they ask for pecans. And we give them pecans.
Okay, so we actually had, we bottle fed. They were abandoned in our attic, and we had an option of giving them up to basically be put down, and our dad was a big nature enthusiast, so he took them, researched what to feed them, and we hand-raised 2 baby squirrels. We called them Roadrunner and Pipsqueak.
All of my squirrels are named Charlie. Every single last one of them, male, female. You know, doesn't matter. They're all Charlie, all 100,000 of them.
We had a kid growing up, all the cats were called James. And if it was multiple, it's our James eating.
I had a bunch of lizards growing up. That's the kind of cool kid I was.
About the menagerie.
And they were all named Lenny Dykstra. I tried naming one of them Ricky Bataligo, and he didn't live very long, so I went back to Lenny.
We're sorry, Ricky. The pitch into Starling Marte. 2-0. Josiah Gray, that strike count has fallen off a little bit here. Again, some trouble in the third. Mark Canha tried to leg out a double. He was ultimately pulled up 3-6 out at second. McNeil with the home run.
I'd be curious to see if Nimmo thinks about trying to get a bag right here. With watching Gray, he's going with a really big leg kick right now. And I think with the timing, there's an opportunity for a base.
Instead, it's Gray working back on a changeup strike. So maybe the Mets should just adopt us. And we're talking about this menagerie of animals. We've apparently got them all up here.
I had hermit crabs. I had everything.
I was never allowed to have a hermit crab.
But you were allowed to have squirrels.
Because they were already there.
When you see the positioning of Hernandez, this is where the analytics sometimes confuse me. Because if you see where Hernandez is playing, he's playing pretty much right behind second base. But when I think of Marte as a hitter, I think of him being a guy who hits the ball all over the field. So what I'm assuming is that when he hits the ball on the ground, he pulls it. But if he hits the ball in the air, he can hit it all over the field, because you see the outfielder's alignment, and they're shaded to right field, actually.
2 outs, trying to hold a runner on at first, and Brandon Nimmo. Marte works a full count. We've got some, it looks like mist coming in from behind the first base side up in the lights. Of course, it was supposed to rain today, as it did yesterday, but so far it has been absolutely picturesque in what you hope to see for a night in baseball.
What a beautiful ballpark this is, huh?
And everything around it, too. I mean, it's a very well-built area.
So Nimmo will be running now, for sure, which normally guarantees a foul ball right here. I'm calling it out early.
2 outs, full count. Gray, Marte, right back up the middle, playing in Hernandez, the scoop to Bell. Close enough, CY, but we did have a birthday blast. Jeff McNeil, he ties it all up at 1 apiece. Mets, Nationals, Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+.
The Nationals, they recently released their Nike City Connect jerseys, and it highlights an icon here in the nation's capital, and that's the cherry blossom tree. As you can see, I'm repping the jersey right now. I'm not sure if it goes with my outfit, but you get the picture here. You see it all throughout the city, and other areas around the stadium, they are also paying tribute. On the souvenir cups, they have the cherry blossom, and even the Nationals, they teamed up with a local cocktail company to come out with a cherry blossom drink, you guys. So I've seen a lot of fans drinking the cocktail, and it looks quite refreshing, I must say.
Ball put into play here by D. Strange Gordon, heading back towards the bullpen. Fair or foul, and just foul. He shakes his head. He's going to have a long walk back here. Brooke, we didn't want to spoil the fun for you here. There's the Chicago Southside City Connect jersey from last year. But man, are these fresh. It is the fastest selling City Connect gear in its first hour and first day so far in the Nike program history. We've heard great reaction from fans and players. It brings in something different. Quite frankly, I want all of this Nationals Cherry Blossom City Connect gear. I got a Cherry Blossom coffee today. We are rolling in pink petals everywhere we go. And look, I mean, they've already got it. That's how you know it's successful. This stuff doesn't even technically debut on the players' backs until tomorrow. And fans are showing out in the gear.
This is something that the fans love, the players love. I remember when we had City Connect jerseys. We loved them so much we want to wear them all year long.
D. Gordon rung up. He thought he had a home run a minute ago. Instead, it's a strikeout off the changeup.
You know what, I think they're not pink enough. I think they should have gone even more pink.
Says our lovely lady with the pink hair.
Well, tonight's odds for Mets and Nationals, courtesy of BetMGM. Max Scherzer over under 5.5 strikeouts tonight. See what you got?
I'm so curious how they pull up these numbers, because when you see 5.5 against the Nationals, you know, it seems like a no-doubter. Let's go on the over. But you also don't know how long Scherzer's going to stay in the game, and with it being early in the season, you don't know if that's going to come into play or not.
We got 3 of them so far of those 7 outs. And of course, Scherzer made a ground out on his own as well.
He was one of the more built-up pitchers in spring training. He started his routine when the lockout was still going on, and towards the end of spring, he was throwing 6 innings, and then he ran into that hamstring injury, so it'll be interesting to see how far Buck lets him go here.
I would assume Scherzer threw his first bullpen probably 2 weeks after the season ended last year. He's one of those guys that just lives, eats, and breathes baseball.
I think you know what he likes to do? He likes to go scuba diving.
Hernandez with a line right back up the middle, and an easy snag there for Lindor. 2 down. I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever said this publicly. The first time, I won't say met him because it was from across the way, but the first time I ever saw Max Scherzer was actually not on a field. He and his wife, Erica, were tacky tourists for Halloween. And they had the khaki shorts and the Hawaiian print shirts, and I thought, man, that's some fun people. And then you see him on the mound and you go, oh no, that's not very fun.
No, he is a fun person though.
Did they have their kids with them, or were this just the 2 of them, tacky tourists?
I can't, because maybe the kids were there, but you know, they'd gone in the bathroom or something. Yeah, this was a while back. This was years back, but it's that image that just kind of sits there for the rest of time. Soto calls for time. He's got that little smirk right now. I mean, this is a guy, again, we've talked about it. He always looks like he's having fun, but you won't meet somebody as locked in at the plate either.
No, you won't. He takes hitting very seriously. When talking to Dave during the game, I asked, is Soto a feel guy at the plate, or is he a mechanical guy as far as how much he's thinking about his swing? Oh,
Soto to right field, but back is Marte right in front of the track, and he's got it. Retires Soto. 3 up, 3 down for the Nationals. Through 3, we are all tied up at 1. Scherzer and Gray. This is Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+. Time now for our weekly Siri trivia question. Just ask Siri, who had the most hits for the Mets last season? So guys, I want your odds on that one before we get the answer here.
Who had the most hits?
If you listened to me earlier, I actually kind of gave it away a little bit. As Lindor out of the way of a pitch in from Gray.
For the Mets last year, I'm looking at their lineup. I would say Jeff McNeil.
Okay, we won't give the answer away until Siri gives it to us in a little bit here. Hannah, what we got from you?
You know, I took all these notes, and I don't know anything I wrote down. I feel like I know less than I did before I wrote all those notes. I need to be looking at them.
Nemo. Okay, so we've got McNeil and Nemo. We'll let you know in a little bit. Siri's working on it. You can ask your iPhone anything. I think I remember the first time Siri came out, the myriad of questions people tried to trip her up with. Gray trying to trip up Lindor here. He's got an even count. Strikeout victim to end the first.
Lindor had a great spring this year, and he started to show signs of that, 2017 to 2019 version of himself, where he was hitting around 75, having that power to hit up to 35, 40 home runs, 40 doubles. Also a guy who can steal 20 bases. I mean, if he can be that guy for the Mets this year, it'll be a huge addition. And he'll be smiling a lot more, Mr. Smiles.
He was Mr. Smiles, and he was not much of Mr. Smiles last year.
What I think is interesting is even after he got off to that rough start and didn't have such a great relationship with the fan base in New York, he did improve as the season went on. He was better in the second half, post All-Star break, and September was his best month.
Well, he works the pitch inside from Gray, and the first free pass issued. Earlier, Brooke Fletcher got to catch up with the National skip Dave Martinez.
They're doing really well. They're working great together. So Zao just made 1 pitch up to McNeil, but he's doing great.
You guys got on the board early, but you know Max Scherzer, he's going to make adjustments. So how can you get a couple more runs going here?
Yeah, we just got to keep battling, keep working good at bats. We hit some balls, we unlucky on the 1 foul ball homer, and then Juan just hit a line out, and so did Cesar. So just got to be aggressive and keep. He's going to throw strikes, so we got to be ready.
All right, thanks so much.
And Brooke, thanks so much for catching that on the fly during the game here. Check back on Lindor.
Pete Alonso is such a fun player to watch hit. I mean, you're talking about a guy who hit 53 home runs his rookie season. That's unbelievable. But then you go off as a young player to win 2 home run derbies back-to-back years. I mean, I'm wondering how you feel as a player when you know you probably have arguably the most pop in the game right now.
To Alonso. Well, and to answer that, CY, he's actually on record. If he's the king. He's already open. He's going to be back competing this year. And when you look at the rhythm they had, just between delivering, and he knew right where it was going to go, it just didn't even look human between the two of them. It was just this mechanism of let's go one after another. And I got to give him a little ribbing here because, you know, he goes up against Mancini, who's coming back after fighting off colon cancer. And you had to be the showboat and defend the title.
Hey, you know why? Because there was $1 million on the line, Mel. He won $1 million for winning the home run derby, and he's won 2 of them. That's $2 million. How much did he earn as a player in his first 2 years?
He
Not $2 million.
He out-earned himself at the Derby compared to his contract. And in fact, he got to beat out arbitration this year by coming to terms his biggest contract with the Mets yet. There were 14 total players who were staring at arbitration. Chris Bassett, the only one who didn't make it through that and come to an agreement.
I really think Pete Alonso is just the best home run derby player in the world who happens to be playing baseball. And I'm a little concerned now that they're getting this like home run derby league off the ground that we might not get Pete Alonso in MLB anymore. I think he's gonna, what's it? It's like home run derby X. Did you guys see this?
I did not see that.
You didn't see this? They're gonna do like a home run derby league. It's gonna be a traveling event, go to international cities. I actually think they stole my idea. I got to see baseball in the Olympics last summer in Tokyo, and the baseball in the Olympics is not great. But I think maybe a home run derby in the Olympics is the way to go.
That sounds a little Savannah Banana-esque in that.
We just got word Adrian Gonzalez will be in there. Johnny Gomes will be in there. So you're talking about some legit big league guys who are going to be in this, and maybe Pete Alonso can be a celebrity invite and come show him how it's done.
It's like, what is it in golf? Is it the long drive? Where that's all you do is just the long drive contests? That's all that matters?
It sounds a little gimmicky, but people love the home run derby.
See Lindor over there. He keeps trying to get a jump. Gray continues to go with that high leg kick.
Oh, I thought he was going to run.
And instead, Gray blocks out the noise. He gets Alonso on a slider.
So with Lindor, Gray gets squeezed a little bit on that fastball in. And right here against Alonso, that breaking ball may have been just below the zone, but he gets the benefit of the doubt and gets the call. Sometimes you just have to play with those edges. And this is a perfectly executed pitch. If we were going with the automated strike zone, that would have been a strike.
Well, and that's the biggest change to that zone this year. Of course, you'll be seeing it in AAA, particularly over in the Pacific Coast League. All of the minor league names have also been restored this year. So they're back to be in the PCL. Check over on Lindor. Scampers back in.
They better keep a really close eye on Lindor. He's been trying to get his timing every single pitch. Gray has to be a 1-4, 1-5 to the plate with that big leg kick. You see Lindor peeking in. He's trying to see if he can see the signs from the catcher, but I don't know if they're using that automated system now to where that may not work like it used to.
I believe Dave Martinez told us earlier that they were not going to use it, and Buck told us the Mets were. Buck said, we've been using it for a while. They really liked using it in spring training. Yep. I think he had some ideas for how to advance it even further.
It'd be tough not to use it, because watch Lindor's eyes right here. He's peeking in to see if he can see, you know, 4 fingers or 3 fingers, because if I know an off-speed pitch is coming, I have a better chance of, you know, being successful stealing a base. But at the very least, he has Gray's attention, and what we hope that turns into is a better pitch for Escobar to be able to put the barrel on.
Escobar working a 1-0 count.
See why I'm interested. You know, you brought up if he's putting down the signs, that's something Lindor can look for. So do you think that automated pitch com, is that going to change the stolen base game as well?
I think it'll affect it. You know, when you're always looking for some type of way to get as much information as possible. You know, it's so hard to steal bases. You have a lot of catchers. I mean, we saw Ruiz throw out Marte yesterday, and Marte is one of the most successful base stealers in the game. And you see Ruiz throwing guys like that out. I know I need the best jump possible to be able to, you know, have a good success rate. And I'm not going to go unless I know I can make it.
They're trying to make it a little bit easier with bigger bases coming to baseball. Partially that's a health issue. They don't want guys' feet getting run over at first, but partially it's because they want to ever so slightly shorten the distance between bases, maybe get a few more stolen bases every year.
And Gray finds his way with the strike. So about 50% of the clubs starting the season have opted to use that PitchCom technology, and you are seeing that even 50% tonight. Again, all of the Mets all in on going for it. The Nationals, not so much. We didn't really hear that anybody was going to be using it. When you think about those two managers between Buck and Dave, that might surprise you that each is where they are in that decision. But nonetheless, here they are. And Hannah, to your point with the bases, second base will also be taking a shift as well. We've been trying to imagine the geometric layout of it, but the word was that really going back to the 1800s, it was inaccurately designed, and it'll be just shy of 2 feet closer to first.
Oh! This is typical big league pitching right here, and this is something that's very different from going from the minor leagues to the big leagues. When you get in those hitters counts, you know, Mel, when you get in AA, AAA,
I do.
You know, you'll see a lot of fastballs in those counts. But in the big leagues, guys can throw anything at any time when they need a strike, and that allows them to get back into good counts, you know, to help their chances of success.
It takes confidence to do that. The Mets starter yesterday, Tyler McGill, starting in place of Jacob deGrom, who is back on the IL, showed that confidence. That's something that both Buck, his manager, and Billy Epler brought up, the way that he was using pitches in a hitter's count that maybe a young guy wouldn't feel comfortable using.
Runner at first, trying to keep it tied, but a rope into right. Eduardo Escobar lays this one down. Soto has to go into the corner. Stop signs up for Lindor as he slides into second. Escobar is safe, and it's a double. Mets moving up second and third with just one away here in the fourth.
It's a great way to work in at bat. You get ahead in the count 2-0. The pitcher works his way back, and at that point, you can't let up. You still have to execute your pitch. Right here, yes, he has a good breaking ball, but when you leave it up in the zone like that, that's a barrel ball for many hitters in the game, and Escobar is able to take advantage and then run the bases really well to be able to go, you know, to get a double out of it.
Well, and we've acknowledged that early on in the season, pitchers are still watched pretty closely on their counts. I did mention this, Gray falling off that first pitch strike record in the third. He started out 5 of his first 7, but since then, 1 of 7, they have been for a ball.
There's not too many guys you would like to have in this situation, more so than Robbie Cano. I mean, an ultimate veteran guy. He's going to try to get something up in the zone early in the count, something that he can drive to the outfield and add another run to the board.
And you can take a look at that RBI probability down at the bottom right of your screen, 54.33%. So you make those odds, CY. You were asking who makes the odds.
Yeah.
I must say that's you.
See the infield halfway. Basically any hard ground ball. I mean, it's going to be a tight play to get him at home.
Lifted and foul. Sends the ball boy out of the way of that one.
And you see aggressive early in the count, trying to get that run in. That's all that matters. 2 runs is a bonus, but we got to find a way to get the 1 in.
He's hitting .377 at Nationals Park, so you think he likes coming here?
I think he loves it. And those numbers, his career ranks, he's up there in every category. I mean, if you talk about home runs, second most, right behind Jeff Kent.
2 for 3 yesterday on opening night in his return. That was his first game back from a season-long PED suspension. Seems like he's doing okay.
A lot of people didn't know what to expect. But one thing, as any baseball player knows, that swing that he has, it's one of those things that he can just repeat over and over and over again, and he makes literally the same swing day in and day out. And if you throw a ball that's in that hitting zone, he knows how to put the barrel on the ball.
One out, managing Lindor and Escobar. Mets would like to break this one up off the bat of Cano. Young Josiah Gray trying to manage his first start of the season. Cano swings, he finds the gap straight through the middle, base hit. Lindor will score, charging around third, flying in comes Escobar. Cano holds up at first, a 2-run single. Mets 3-1 lead here in the fourth.
Robbie Cano, the ultimate hitter, able to just wait, be patient enough to get something up in the zone, drives it through the middle of the field, and get the bonus run to get both guys in.
And that will...
After that, you also have Soto, who makes a great play. These kind of plays are overlooked from time to time, but keeping Cano on first base keeps the double play in order. And Soto, as an outfielder, what's your role to, in the outfield is to control the game and control the big innings. So him being able to keep Cano on first base keeps Gray in a good position to get one pitch out, to get out this inning.
Cano moving into rare air, RBI 1,303. Miguel Cabrera and Albert Pujols, the only two active players ahead of him.
And that'll bring the Nats bullpen to life. They're all stretching, warming up out there. Now that there's a 3-1 lead for the Mets. That was Josiah Gray's 59th pitch of the night.
He is. This will be 61 to Mark Canha.
Curious to see throughout the league, how long they let anybody go. Will it be too many pitchers that are able to go out there and throw 90 pitches this early in the season with the short spring training in the cold weather, which is very different from Arizona and Florida weather?
It's been a really difficult stretch for pitchers these past couple of years. I mean, that start and stop in 2020, that was difficult on pitchers, difficult on everyone with those injuries. And then even last year, it wasn't sort of clear when it would start. And then, of course, the lockout this past offseason. It's tough for a pitcher out here trying to get on a rhythm.
You go from short season to having to go back to a full season. It was over 900 extra innings than they had gone the previous year. And you're exactly right. Then all of a sudden they had to be self-accountable for the third time in a row because they couldn't have communication with their clubs on those off-season programs unless they already had something in place prior to December 1st. Canha turns away. He takes a free base. It's the second walk issued of the inning by Josiah Gray. And it'll shuffle Cano on down to second.
That'll definitely call for a conversation. The catcher will come out, the pitching coach will come out. Just take his pulse, see how he's feeling, make sure he calms down. You had a couple runners on base, a little action, which caused some high-stress pitches. You just got to calm down, regroup, and you're still one pitch away from getting out of this inning.
Yeah, pitching coach Jim Hickey on the mound having a word here as he brings everybody else in with him.
This is good for young pitchers to experience from time to time. You kind of see what people are made of. Get your back against the wall. If you can, find your way to control the damage at this point of the game, that'll help you grow and help you build for the future and allow you to know when you get in those situations in the future, don't let it get to you. Just continue to play your game and trust your stuff.
Let's take a look at StatCast, powered by Google Cloud. This Jeff McNeil home run, the birthday boy with a blast.
That is a rocket, 105 miles an hour off the bat, keeps it fair. That's a great way to start the season on your birthday. You can't ask for more than that.
What about two?
Oh, I'll take a double-double.
They did say they would have cake after the game.
There is cake. Maybe we can join in. Jeff McNeil up in the air. This one staying plenty shallow, though. Soto racing in, calls it off, makes the catch. We'll have to stick to one home run for now.
And Jeff McNeil's trying to jump him. Right after a meeting, you understand that the pitcher wants to attack the zone. He got a pretty good pitch to hit right there up in the zone. He just missed it. It happens.
You saw how hard on himself Jeff McNeil can be in that replay. He's already got a home run tonight. He was bummed to pop out.
Well, yeah, no matter what you did last at bat, you don't carry that over. Baseball players have very short-term memories. And you can't hold on to that because the next thing you know, you're 1 for 4 and 1 for 5. It doesn't feel like a great day.
2 outs, 2 on. Gray to Nido outside. He's got the book on him now, though. He's got the home run. He puts Josiah Gray in that book.
Yeah, he's in the book, and that's all that matters. All the hitters out there in the world know if you hit 1 home run off of a pitcher, no matter if you're 1 for 10 with 9 strikeouts, if that one is a home run, that pitcher can't see you. You got it. You have him in the book. You own him, actually.
That's up by 2, but they've got 2 more threatening.
When talking to Buck before the game, he really wanted to get Nido in the lineup today. You know, yeah, you have James McCann over there, but you have to get your guys in the lineup as early as possible. He's going to have Dominic Smith in the lineup tomorrow. Let everybody get their feet wet early in the season, find their way. And if Nido finds a way to have some success, and if Scherzer's able to have a great game, maybe he can become, you know, Scherzer's personal catcher. You don't really know how it's going to play out, but maybe Scherzer feels more comfortable pitching to him.
He did throw to Nido almost exclusively in spring training, so it seems like he likes it. Seems like they've got a good relationship going.
And you have a lot of pitchers and catchers that have that special relationship. You don't worry as much about the offense, especially when you have an offense like the Mets. You can afford to have a catcher in there that, you know, may not have the offensive thump that McCann has, but if he can call a good game and him and Scherzer work, you know, together very well, you don't need that many runs to win the game.
Time called.
It's a big pitch for Gray right here. I'm assuming if he can find a way to execute 1 more slider or 1 more curveball to get Nido out right here, he can walk off the mound feeling pretty good about himself.
Cano and Canha on. Nido awaits. Outside, and a good stop by Keibert Ruiz. Ruiz called to be praised not only for his pitch framing, but his pitch calling, and especially, again, we reemphasize that they are not using the PitchCom system. Both of those widely important, but also the way he manages his staff.
And we talk about the relationship between pitchers and catchers. Ruiz and Josiah Gray came over together in that trade from the Dodgers, and Dave Martinez told us today they're really close friends. They talk all the time. They don't need PitchCom. They got something better. They got friendship.
They've got that friend
that matters.
ESP. Deuce is wild, a swing and a drive into center field. This one gets down, base hit. Cano charging around third. He's heading for home. The play at the plate. Cano is out. Ruiz defends. And a big point back at the outfield from Josh Bell as D. Gordon comes up huge. 1 run scores, but Matt's able to limit the damage as they trail 3-1 after the top of the 4th. We'll take another look at this play here by D. Gordon.
What a throw right here. You're assuming that Robles is the center fielder that, you know, with the defensive prowess. D. Gordon out in center field making the perfect throw to home plate to get the nab right there.
Max Scherzer back out on the bump. It's a 3-1 Mets lead at his back. As he comes inside to Nelson Cruz. Six hits for the Mets. Cruz adding one of his own here. Drops this in for a single to right field. And earlier, Brooke Fletcher got to catch up with Buck Showalter.
Oh, it's just fun watching him compete and pitch at a high level. You know, especially this late in his career. He's a pleasure to have around. He's a baseball player that happens to be a pitcher, not the other way around.
Your offense got something going thanks to the birthday boy with that homer in the 3rd, and then Cano, 3 hits in 2 games. How impressed have you been with his performance?
No, Robbie's a guy you never sell short. He's on I don't want to say a mission, but you can tell this season and getting back on the field, something he's really missed, and he knows it was self-inflicted, and he's done the right things.
All right, thank you so much.
And again, that was Brooke Buck Showalter. They're talking about Max Scherzer in his 15th major league season. This is his 5th different team. Of course, again, his first return to Nationals Park. And he mentioned, you know, he doesn't hold it personally. He does pitch lights out against his former clubs, but he said it's part of the game these days. It's so fluid for guys to not be able to stay with clubs for that same period of time. Of course, we saw the Freddie Freeman deal with the Braves earlier as well on the other side of things as Bell fouls this one away. But there's only 3 players to have tenures as long as Scherzer who actually were able to stay with the same team. This goes all the way back from the mid-70s. You have Felix Hernandez, Mariano Rivera, and Adam Wainwright. Of course, Seattle, New York, and St. Louis with that. It's a very, very tough thing to do.
I want to elaborate a little bit on what Buck said when he said that Scherzer is a baseball player who just happens to be a pitcher, or a position player who happens to be a pitcher. Scherzer is one of those guys, when you're in a clubhouse and you're in the dugout and you're playing with a pitcher, they pitch one day and then the rest 4 days they're pretty much tapped out. They go in the clubhouse, you know, they're watching the game, but they're not really students of the game. Scherzer is a guy.
Bell with a power out, up, back, and let it fly. Josh Bell with a 2-run moonshot. And we are all tied at 3.
Josh Bell, 260 guy, can hit 30 home runs every season, and he finds a way to put the barrel on the ball and hit this ball 443 feet, 112 miles an hour off the bat. Scherzer, he will attack the zone. He will use his fastball. He will come at you, and sometimes he has to pay for it.
Starling Marte had his hand and his glove behind his back and just watched. There was not one flinch on that hit.
Yeah, there's no need to do a courtesy jog if you're an outfielder or act like you have a play to make. Sometimes you just got to watch it, admire it, and move on.
And Bell has talked about the rebirth that he's felt joining the Nationals organization, how good he's felt about his career in a Washington uniform. Put that one on the reel.
And he grew up a Rangers fan, particularly enamored by Nelson Cruz, so it must feel pretty good to drive him in. We should see Josh Bell get a lot of RBI opportunities this year with Juan Soto and Nelson Cruz batting ahead of him. That's always been a concern for the Nationals with Soto, is what kind of protection he has behind him, and now they have both Cruz and Josh Bell.
Ruiz keeps this one on the ground. The scoop from McNeil over to first. And he's retired. Josh Bell. You gotta love what he does here. Ring the bell.
Ooh, I mean, that is center cut right down the middle. I'm gonna challenge you, and sometimes you gotta pay the piper. Josh Bell putting the barrel on that ball, and that's a beautiful thing. Upper deck here in National Stadium with the wind. The wind had nothing to do with that ball.
Nothing to do with us either.
But it had our papers flying all over the place that nobody was
Everywhere.
ever able to see.
You know, this game was moving at a perfect clip early on, and then it slowed down, and now I'm getting concerned because there was some rain in the forecast, and I thought we were going to get it in before then.
Okay, you brought up 2 things we're not allowed to talk about on air. I'm going to introduce you to that. You're all good. 1-1 count for Yadiel Hernandez, who had the sacrifice fly, the first run for the Nats in the second.
Let me guess, is it how quickly the game is going and whether or not we're going to get rained on?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured that out.
It's the same rules as a player. Same rules as a player.
You're allowed to talk about it, but you just also have to be prepared that you take the full brunt of blame when something inevitably happens.
Putting the winter coat on here in April.
But a little more about Scherzer, like I was saying earlier, when he's in the dugout and he's not on the mound, he's still very locked into the game. He's asking me questions. He's asking, what am I thinking on the bases? You know, why am I positioned this way? What am I trying to do in this situation? And what it does in turn is when he's on the mound, he's able to think like a hitter. He's able to think like a base runner, and he understands what adjustments he needs to make to be even more successful and continue to go the way he's going, which is why he will be a Hall of Famer.
One of the things that stands out to me is back in that 2019 World Series when the Nationals brought home a ring, Scherzer pitched in Game 7, and he told me afterwards that what he loved was when they took him from the game because he knew it was going to be the last game of the season no matter what, however it went. He didn't have to ice his arm. He could stay in the dugout and just watch it play out.
Hold up here for a minute. Yadiel Hernandez is going to get to take his time. We've got the ball person jogging down the line in their parka as it rolled just beyond the first base umpire again, and that goes to a lucky fan. Oh, and we hand it off to a kid. That's the play right there.
Hey, that's what it's all about. If you come to the game, you have a glove in hand, you deserve a ball. I went to so many games as a kid. We used to go to games at the Astrodome. We're sitting up in the upper deck, and we felt like we had such a good chance to get a foul ball, and I never had the opportunity. So my goal here in the booth at some point this year
Don't say that.
is to get a foul ball.
You better bring your glove.
How do you feel about adult fans bringing gloves to games?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Whatever it takes. Hey.
Here's my caveat. As long as they're not running over a child who's en route to the same ball, that's where I draw the line.
No, if you're a grown-up and you catch a ball, it is mandatory that you give the ball to a child.
Also, yeah.
Period.
You going to do that, CY? If you catch a ball up here, you're going to give it to a child?
No, because that's living out his childhood dream.
No, I will. I said I want to catch a ball. That's all I want. I don't need to keep a ball. I have a million balls at home.
Like a show fisherman.
All right, who's bragging now?
Ground ball to first. Pete Alonso makes the out. Let's send it back to LG in the studio. She's got a Giants update for us.
Yes, Melanie, the Marlins, Giants here in the Bay Area. We have some free baseball, and who doesn't love free baseball? Bottom 10th, Darren Ruff on first, hard hit ball there to left field. Jorge Soler trying to make the play, hits his cutoff man, but not in time for Darren Ruff to score the walk-off here, 6-5, the final score. Check this out, guys. This is the first seasoning open walk-off since 1987 for the Gigantes. A little bit of trivia time. Do you know who did it last?
I think we're going to go with Chili Davis here. What an incredible feat out in the Bay Area as Michael Franco with a 1-0 count. Hi. Scherzer working back in that fastball for a strike. This was a guy who came out. He had one of the longest first games back to spring training this year, 70 pitches plus. And just did not care that what you were supposed to be doing. He was ready during the lockout. He had a home program. And you think, one, he's been in the league 15 years, but two, it's like you mentioned earlier, Hannah, those odd times we've had the last three have kind of taught these guys self-resiliency.
You talk about those odd years we've had. Max's wife, Erica, said earlier that this return would feel a little bit like closure on that 2019 championship season because they haven't, you know, he was back, he was playing with the team in 2020 and 2021, but there weren't full crowds, fans.
Foul ball. Count stays the same for Franco.
So I hope the fans are giving Scherzer a little love, giving them the love that they needed.
Oh, are we going to give it to a kid?
I mean, I don't see any kids in the vicinity.
So you get him a pass?
I think if a kid doesn't ask for it, I mean, he's looking around. If nobody asks for it, you don't have to go out your way for it.
Strikeout for Franco. He gets caught looking at a changeup against Scherzer, and that draws the fourth to a close, but not before Josh Bell. That big two-run bomb. And the Nationals staying in this one just even. Welcome back to Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+. Josiah Gray back out for another round and back to the top of the lineup with Brandon Nimmo. Lefty 1 for 2 on the evening. Ground ball that rolls foul.
I really like this call by Dave. Put your guy back out there. It's a 3-3 game. Show your trust in him. It's early in the season. Yeah, the bullpen's up and going, but you allow your guy to go out there and continue to build his confidence.
Well, and that was one thing that we heard from Jim Palmer a lot is the young guys that you don't know how to stretch and you don't know how to work through adversity unless you're allowed to be left in it.
And young guys don't need to be coddled. You know, sometimes people feel like, no, you got to take care of the young guy. You know, you got to try to keep him happy, make sure he's in a good mental space. At some point, you got to go out there and compete and figure it out. And he's, you know, he had his back against the wall a little bit. It's a 3-3 game, though. It's a fresh game. It might as well be 0-0.
Dave Martinez said that lineup has flipped over from being pretty veteran to a young clubhouse, and that he's had to reinstate the dad role a little bit. You know, he has been a little softer for some of the guys in some ways, but no, you're absolutely right. These are those situations. He knows that line of where to hold your hand and where to kind of push you out of that nest and go, no, you're going to fly.
Yeah, we all need it. Gray trying to go back to that slider. He was able to get Nimmo on it in the first at bat, get Nimmo to swing over it. Looked like he may be one with the heater this time, though.
73rd pitch. And it's a miss. Sean Doolittle up in the Nationals bullpen.
Yeah, he tried to get the heater in right there. Even if you miss with it, you miss up, and it still sets up this breaking ball, hopefully, you know, to his back foot.
Gray said that now that he's cracked his starting day rotation, his next goal is to figure out what kind of pitcher he wants to be.
This one put out into right field. Juan Soto on the run. It gets past his glove. Nimmo on the fly. He digs in for second. Helmet is off. Soto with the throw in. Nimmo slides to third, and the throw to Franco is late. A triple for Brandon Nimmo.
We got some Mets fans in the house. People clapping for that triple here.
You think Buck's impressed? You'd never know it, would you?
Nimmo's 17th triple in his career.
That's an interesting selection right there. Right here, your third time around, that's when you come in, and he throws this changeup. He threw him the changeup, which he only throws 3% of the time. And when things like this happen, you understand why you don't use it as much.
So I want to ask you something, CY, there on that replay. He looked like he kind of tipped that visor to purposely knock off the helmet. Is that a move? You got to get that aerodynamic
Hey, sometimes
boost?
you have your players that are just flat out throw it off. Put their head down, be aerodynamic, cut this wind.
Brings the infield well in for Starling Marte. 3-3 ball game.
You know, Nimmo just learned to slide head first recently. This past, I think it was about a year ago. He said, it's about time for me to learn how to slide head first. He's making use of it here.
You know, Hannah, that's pretty common. It's a lot of guys that only know how to slide with one leg, you know, their right leg under or their left leg under. It's a lot of guys who don't know how to slide head first, especially younger players, because as they were coming through the minor leagues, they were taught with all the injuries associated with sliding head first that they just stopped doing it all throughout. But I think it's definitely faster getting you to the base. I just hate to see guys sliding head first to home.
Well, and even outside of just the speed, I mean, we've seen moves where they're able to do that swim move, where there's that close play right there, and you get that one hand working around, and it's bang, bang, but, you know, they're able to make it safe. You can't do that as cleanly with your feet. We're not exactly bipeds.
Speaking of sliding, I'm really excited about next week. We have Jackie Robinson Day. We get to see Trey Turner.
I tell you, I get the chills talking about LA and Jackie Robinson Day. That's an unbelievable day. It's quite literally a Good Friday. Let's take a look at this slide again here for Nimmo. Not quite Trey Turner-esque, CY, but it's a good one.
Very aware of his surroundings, though. Eyes open. A lot of times you see guys slide, eyes are closed. You're just hoping that you feel the bag at some point.
It was spring training 2021 that he learned to slide head first.
Well, he went in eyes wide open. He was that kid jumping into the pool without goggles.
I still struggle to open my eyes underwater.
Don't ever ask me to.
Oh, yeah. With contacts, you just can't. They'll float out.
Good pitch. It's a big spot for me. You have the infield in. Nimmo is definitely seeing it through. You would not be running on contact in this situation, mainly because you wouldn't want to be thrown out at home and then in turn have one out with the run on first base. You're not going to allow that to happen, so you're going to see this ball through or hope for a deep fly ball.
It's a good spot for Marte. Runner on third, no outs. He hit .374 last year with runners on base.
Infield toes on the grass. Gray, 2-2. And a foul ball. You know, I have to tell you this too, CY. We were talking about those foul balls earlier. I have had a lot in the booth. And we actually had a fall league where I still can't remember the hitter, but he fouled like 5 in a row. But they all went straight back to me in the press box. And so I kept ducking and dodging and diving and moving the laptop and moving all of the equipment we were using. And I finally thought I was clear. And then that 6th one came back. And when I tell you that it hit me square in the chest, busted the keys off of my laptop, they're not that fun. So I'm not kidding. Bring the glove. I was okay. This one's a shot right down the line past third base for Starling Marte. Easily scoring comes Brandon Nimmo. Mets take it back 4-3, a double for Marte.
And that may be it for Gray right there. I could be wrong. That may be it. That breaking ball is starting to get hit a little bit more. He's leaving it over the middle of the plate.
4 extra base hits off of Gray tonight, a home run, 2 doubles, the triple from Nimmo.
It's actually a pretty good pitch. After seeing it on replay, Marte does a great job pulling his hands in, keeping that ball fair, and getting that double down the line.
And Dave Martinez out. He makes the official sign over to the bullpen. So that is the end of the line for Josiah Gray. Martinez with a slap on the back. He'll leave with the Nationals down by a run. Sean Doolittle on. You're watching Friday Night Baseball.
First pitch of the game was like a 4-seam right down the middle, maybe a little bit away, a strike. Then the next pitch was, then he threw me a fastball that followed up. It was running from him.
Oh, good. Inside it.
Curveball.
Josiah Gray curveball that Francisco Lindor was not a fan of. He'll get to stand in against Steve Cishek. So Gray done 4+ innings, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts. And of course the line stays open as Cishek inherits the runner at second in Starling Marte.
It is great seeing Lindor and Walker sit there and talk about pitches. You know, Walker is sitting there learning as well, and maybe that's something that's carrying over from guys like Scherzer being in the clubhouse, is that guys are more in tune and wanting to learn about the game completely. So seeing Lindor and Walker right there working together is great for baseball.
Take a look. 74 appearances last year for the righty reliever. We've been told this is a fluid bullpen.
Oh my God! Oh no.
Buck Showalter is immediately out. We talked about how this was a really tense game yesterday.
And both dugouts are out there on the field.
Dugouts have cleared. Bullpens are coming out now. 3 Mets hit by a pitch yesterday against the Nationals. It sounded like Buck and Dave had cleared the air. They know that they're trying to find a grip on these new baseballs, and it's just really tough. But you've got a star like Lindor. You're trying to see him have a turnaround year with this club that he has signed such a big contract with.
Important to note, though, that was scary to see Lindor go down, but he is up, he is walking around, he's staying on the perimeter of that scrum.
And you've got veterans like Nelson Cruz who are going to keep people at bay right now. Pete Alonso got lucky yesterday as that ricocheted again right off the ear flap. He had a busted up lip. He was negative for concussion protocol. You see Eric Young Jr., Soto, a couple other guys who are taking the time to check on Lindor. Alonso, we mentioned, he was one of the ones hit. He's not going to be happy about this either.
That was extremely scary. You never like to see a guy get hit, you know, above the shoulders in any kind of way. I'm really happy to see Lindor get up, because on live view, it looked like it hit him square in the face. And a lot of times when you're turning to bunt, you're in the most vulnerable position for an inside pitch, because you literally can't get out of the way.
And for you, CY, mistake or not, what does that mean to you when you see Buck was out at home plate almost instantaneously?
Oh, it's clearly a mistake. But at the same time, a few guys have been hit. You saw Alonso get hit yesterday up high. You have your guy Lindor get hit up high. And it's sooner or later, tensions flare and guys get fed up. And they say, hey, man, if you can't throw inside, don't try to come in there, because it's very dangerous.
So it looks like they're getting some separation here now. They've checked Lindor. He looks like he's got all of his teeth. He's still trying to get his bearings about him, as now he's taken off the shin guard. Take another look at this.
Oh my God!
And you hear this immediately. Lindor trying to get out of the way of this. Don't be fooled. That didn't hit the bat and ricochet. That was right up and in, and you get a lot of that. Lindor has the mic on him. That chain has been wrapped around it all night, so you are right in the thick of things when you're hearing that. And again, it's cold. The temperatures have dropped significantly since first pitch, so maintaining that control. whole team immediately out behind Buck. He talked about how quickly he built a bond and they've gotten to know and respect each other, and how much this shortstop has come around to really mesh with the vibes of that clubhouse. And he's squatted over right now with the training staff. They're out at the lip of the circle.
It's just very scary, but thankfully that may be 2 times in 2 days that chin strap has saved somebody. I mean, these guys are, throwing gas. Cishek throws 90 miles an hour. I mean, you have 90 miles an hour off the chin. That can take you out.
And you take a look at what happened last night. Patrick Corbin, and Buck said, it gets you on the foot. You understand that one. But then here, diving out of the way again goes McCann and Pete Alonso. And that's what scares you right there. Again, this is not intentional, but when you start talking about a hand is bad enough because that can take you out of lineup for a couple days, but when you're playing around the face, the head, you're entering concussion protocol. You're wondering, is it more than that? Do you have a broken nose? Do you have to go do something else? So Showalter's looking at his possible selections here.
We saw how mad Buck was about this just with the Pete Alonso and the 2 James McCann hit by pitches. I think Major League Baseball has a serious issue on their hands. They crack down on sticky stuff. They crack down harder ahead of this season. That's important to note. So mid-season last year, they said, we're going to start checking pitchers for sticky stuff. They checked their hat and their belt and their gloves. Ahead of this season, they said, we're going to check your hands, because they thought that by the end of last year, guys had started using it again. They'd found some way to get around the rules. Doesn't seem like they're getting around the rules, but it seems like we have a whole new problem that could be significantly more dangerous.
Well, it's dropped 10 degrees since the start of first pitch. It's now right around 52. Of course, you've got the wind to factor in as well. They did experiment with a tacky ball back in 2016. That was a minor league chance. These were delivered wrapped in foil to protect the coating around them. And players ultimately said it kind of worked in reverse. It didn't give you grip. It made it harder. But something has to come in when you see plays like this. And Lindor might have been a good thing, CY, that he had the bat up in that bunt position instead of being fully open.
He does. It's just being in a position to bunt. Your body is more square to the plate, and you're more vulnerable to something bad happening.
And now Cishek had been standing on the mound. You're hearing the boos again because he came pretty aggressively off towards, it looks like Buck Showalter may have said something else. Martinez is going to come get his guy, and Cishek is leaving the game. And now Martinez has the unfortunate situation. He only brought his reliever in. He only gets to face Lindor, and he's got to burn through this fluid selection of bullpen guys once more, as he doesn't have anybody yet named to their assigned slots.
And I understand, Buck doing his job right here, protecting his players. At the same time, there's zero reason for the Nationals to be trying to hit the Mets right now. Maybe if it was vice versa and the Mets hitting the Nationals guy, I could see that. But Cishek in this situation, you're fresh into the game. Your second game of the season. There's no way that you're not trying to hit Lindor in this situation. And now we're saying that if you make a mistake and just make a mistake pitch and hit somebody, you could potentially get thrown out the game. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it in this moment.
And Sean Doolittle is the one who's getting warmed up. Buck Showalter goes back to the dugout. We got plenty going on here in the 5th inning. Mets and Nationals, Friday Night Baseball. Came out, he faced Francisco Lindor, and it was a scary situation as Lindor tried to get out of the way of a pitch that ultimately came right around at his mouth. Cishek is the only player to be ejected from the ball game, and so now they will go to Sean Doolittle. There's the bullpen card, trying to lighten up what has suddenly become a very tense Game 2 of the season.
While we were on break, both managers talking to the umpires, getting a sense of what they saw happen.
And you saw Dave Martinez, I mean, visibly upset, you know, with the crew in this situation about how the situation was handled. And rightfully so, in my opinion.
You think Steve Cishek shouldn't have been tossed?
No, it was a mistake. It was a clear mistake. There was no intent. There was no reason for him to, you know, try to hit Lindor in that situation. If we were talking about any type of retaliation, it would be the other direction. It would be the Mets going after a Nationals hitter, which, you know, is still at risk of happening. I mean, these type of things happen so early in the season and create, you know, drama so early in the season that it just makes it tough. It makes it tough. But Cishek's not trying to hit him right there.
Do you think there's anything to the idea, though, that it would be difficult for Cishek to continue pitching, that they might be concerned his blood is running hot, that even if he didn't do it on purpose, just the drama, you kind of need to slow down the game, be in yourself to be.
No, he has 13 years in the league. He's a veteran guy. All this does is heats up a rivalry for the rest of the season, because you know this is not over right now. It's going to come back around. Every time a National hitter gets hit from here on out, you're going to assume it's on purpose. Anytime a Mets hitter gets hit from here on out, you're going to be like, oh, here we go again. And it's a never-ending story that's going to last all season long.
Well, and this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent.
We talk about how it's getting cold up here. This has been a long break for Max Scherzer between innings pitched.
That's a great point, Hannah. I mean, he's definitely in the cage. There's a batting cage here in Nationals Park for the visiting side. It's right below the dugout. It's a cage. He can go in there, you know, do some arm swings, do some workouts, throw some pitches, make sure that he stays loose. I mean, with the guy like, you know, Max, he's been here before. He's had long layovers before. He understands his body. He knows what to do in this situation to stay ready.
And we saw the wild look in his eye when the light delay happened to begin the game, and he immediately turned. He said, I'm going back down in there. I've got work to do. So Sean Doolittle lightening the situation again, a guy who is also beloved by Nationals fans. He's back this year. He's the face of the City Connect jerseys. He got to get a little narrative voice on. Here comes the bloom. And unfortunately, the Doolittle lightsaber of the World Series has been broken, and Martinez said he's not about to be the one to replace it.
Melanie, you brought up the tacky baseballs they tested a couple years ago in the minors. Those tests have progressed at the Olympics this past summer. They were using Japanese baseball that is not pre-tacked, but the way it's made gives it some tack. Brought some back to show guys around the league. Some of them really liked it, and around that same time, MLB was also giving pitchers pre-tacked baseballs to test.
Team USA was all about, hey, can we just bring cases of these home? Important to note now that Luis Guillorme is the pinch runner in place of Francisco Lindor. So it'll be Marte at second, Guillorme at first, and in steps Pete Alonso to face Sean Doolittle.
If you're Pete Alonso right here, you just saw your teammate get hit in the face right here, and you have two runners on with nobody out. He's not thinking about, you know, a little single the other way.
He got hit in the face last night.
And he got hit in the face yesterday. With Doolittle, you know, he's an 11-year veteran. He throws a lot of fastballs, over 80% fastballs. You know what you're going to get. And Alonso's about to be ready for it, and you know what he's going for.
Nobody out and 2 on, 4-3 Mets lead.
This is where you try to make a statement if you're Alonso.
And if you're the Nationals, this is where you try to keep it from totally unraveling. This was a well-matched game.
Alonso sends this one high, staying out over the infield. Bell calls for it. Towering pop-up belongs to the first baseman, and the first out finds its way here in the 5th. Again, it was a triple for Nimmo. He was scored on a double by Starling Marte before they went to the bullpen. Francisco Lindor gets hit. Now it's Sean Doolittle. So we've had 14 minutes between pitches. You talk about the average timing in between action right now, and certainly the Friday night fireworks have been here.
Doolittle, a little journeyman. I played with him in Arizona. I had him in Oakland. All-star for the Nats in 2018. Just a very reliable piece to have in your bullpen.
He'll spin and take a look back at Marte.
He's from South Jersey, just like me.
And the biggest reason of all to love him right there.
Exactly.
They've been a great attachment to this community. They've been well involved. Eduardo Escobar, strike one from Doolittle.
Escobar, great signing by the Mets. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has power from both sides, you know, can play multiple positions, can play shortstop, can play third base, can move around the field, and be a pretty consistent hitter with the potential to hit up to 35 home runs like he did in 2019. 2021, 28 homers between AZ and Milwaukee. And you don't see those guys come, you know, especially switch hitters. You don't see those guys coming around too often.
He would credit his power to Fogo de Chao. Do you guys know this story?
No.
The Eduardo Escobar Fogo de Chao story?
To be powered by Fogo de Chao.
So yeah, Fogo.
We got another heads-up play. Duck, dodge, dive, whatever you can do to get out of the way of tonight's game.
Some backstory. Okay, so in Minnesota, he hit a home run after going to Fogo de Chao. So excited about it. He went back the next night, continued on a hot streak. His teammates started shouting Fogo power whenever he hit a home run. Signed with the Diamondbacks when he was in Arizona. He got to meet the Fogo de Chao president because they're headquartered there. Gave him a Fogo de Chao black card. And now Eduardo Escobar eats for free at Fogo de Chao. Although he did not eat for free, I think, when he took 70 members of the team out to Fogo de Chao and the Mets. I think they made him probably pay for some of that.
Yeah, you might want to pay for that. Brooke, what do you have on unlimited meets at Fogo de Chao?
I was going to say, what do we have to do in order to meet the president of Fogo de Chao and get, you know, free Fogo de Chao for life? That's pretty incredible.
I think we just have to say it a few more times on this broadcast.
Yeah,
I will take any food.
Right, exactly. I feel like I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. I have not actually been there. I should go. We should take a group trip there.
You know who loves Fogo de Chao? All baseball players.
Not more than we love Benihanas.
Ooh, I do love some Benihana.
Why are you doing this to me?
I don't know. I mean, that's like the commonplace that all baseball
I will
teams...
absolutely make you take over on the mic while I can go get some... We're going to go back out to the outfield here and get some more Shake Shack.
What is that considered? Teppanyaki? Is that the right word? Teppanyaki, where they cook right there in front of you? That's the common grounds for all baseball teams. Hibachi. Hibachi.
That is a word. You did say a word though a minute ago. That does exist.
Hibachi. Baseball players, that's where they gel. That's where they vibe and get their team chemistry. Is at hibachi restaurants.
Well, you get the onion choo-choo train.
Very true.
How do you not bond over that? 2 outs. Robinson Cano. Pitch inside from Doolittle. I mean, really now I'm hungry. This is thanks a lot, CY.
I'm sorry. But on other news, Buck, earlier when we were talking to him, talking about Robinson Cano, you don't really know what you were going to expect out of him this season. You know that he can hit naturally. You don't know what his attitude is going to be like. Buck said when he came into the clubhouse, he gave some pretty motivational speeches for opening day to his teammates to have those guys motivated and showed that he can still be a leader of this team. You know, he's a veteran guy. He's been around the block. He's played for the Yankees. He's played for the Mets. He's been in the playoffs. He has a lot of experience, and he's won before. So having a guy like that who's ready to come back and ready to reinsert himself into that lineup and be a factor is very big for this team.
And he's seeing the tail end of his 10-year deal. And for you, we've talked about this too, there goes a long way when you come in with humility. You wear something on your chest when you know you should, and how much quicker that gets you back in, not only into the clubhouse, but back into being on that totem of guys who are respected and looked up to. He waits, fouls this one off.
Yeah, Mel, it's all about accountability. And that's all that fans want to see. That's what your teammates want to see. And you're held accountable. You know, you serve your time, you serve your suspension, whatever it is. Now, we got to get past it and just play baseball.
He's trying to extend the gap here for the Mets. They've got a 1-run lead. Triple-double hit by pitch. 2 on, 2 out.
Huge beneficiary of the new DH rule right here. Like being able to have that bat in the lineup, even if he's not going to play second base on a regular basis, being in the National League, being able to have Cano as your DH is huge.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet this game, the way that different National League teams are approaching having a DH now. The Mets are doing a sort of particular thing where they have a lot of guys who could be DHs. They're using it as a way to get Pete Alonso off his feet for a day, a way to get some of their outfielders off their feet for a day. They have a lot of guys they want to get into their lineup, and they're using the DH to do that. Over in Philly, though, I think they went for like a completely different tactic. They went out and they signed a specific DH, and then they signed another specific DH, and now they have 2 of them.
Just like the Nets, you go out and sign Nelson Cruz. I mean, that's huge. You have 2 legit DHs here in a National League game.
And I think that's something really cool we got to talk about as well, with Nelson Cruz being somebody that Ruiz had looked up to growing up. Did you ever have a situation like that, CY, where you got to play with a guy that you had also looked up to coming up through your career?
Yeah, I mean, one I can think of offhand is Derek Jeter. I had the special opportunity.
Decent one.
I don't know if you heard that name before, but he's known around the streets a little bit.
Vaguely.
I mean, I had the opportunity to play, you know, for the Yankees during Jeter's final year, which was pretty special for me as a player.
That final game of his, you would really think, and you still hear to this day, it was scripted by the baseball gods with the way that it all unfolded.
And what you learn out of all of it is that he's just another guy. You know, very down to earth, super cool, big trash talker like myself. So we got along great.
Doolittle ready. And he works a full count here with Cano. You know, I think the best thing I ever heard was someone once said availability sometimes factors in more than ability. And then they said, you know, Jeter was a guy who had some outstanding plays, yes, but he didn't go out there and just floor you. It was the fact that he was consistent. Every day he came on it instead of being that streaky, oh, you know, he has some good days or he had some good years. He was just there day in, day out.
He led by example.
2 outs, 2 on. Cano a full count. And again, the Nationals not using pitch comms for any of their pitchers so far this season. They can choose to change that at any point they want or not. Payoff, Cano golfs this one. Back pick, spin, the throw to first, and it's in time. Doolittle gets the Nationals out of this, but the Mets with a 1-run lead. They're up 4-3. Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+. Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet? What has been some Friday night fireworks. Max Scherzer's first return to Nationals Park. Mets and Nationals. It's going to be an interesting National League East this year. He delivers to Alcides Escobar to open up the 5th. Luis Guillorme is in at shortstop to replace Lindor, as you would expect when he came in as the pinch runner in the previous inning. A strike evens the count. Again, Lindor was showing a bunt before a pitch came up and in from the new reliever in Steve Cishek, who was immediately ejected from the ball game afterwards. And we're very lucky. We've got a lot of people jumping on board this year to give you guys every ounce of insight that we can into the game. Major League umpire Brian Gorman, he served from 1993 to 2021 as Escobar flashes a sword at this one, 2-2. And he's been able to take this all in. You don't expect to see everything that's been going on in just game 2 of the season. The rain is now falling. If you've got your baseball bingo cards out, go ahead and fill them up. Strikeout for Scherzer. And 1 down. So we mentioned Lindor getting hit. We'll take another look at that here in case you somehow missed it. Cishek, just his second pitch.
Oh my God. This seems like just a very unfortunate situation to where you're assuming Cishek feels terrible about it as well, and he feels attacked when guys are, you know, assuming that he did that on purpose.
First pitch home, and it's a strike to D. Gordon, 0-1. And we've got Gorman with us now. What was your take on everything that unfolded? Again, Buck leading the charge out of the Mets dugout. That's the fourth guy that he's seen hit in a day and a half, and ultimately Cishek was ejected.
Well, yeah, bench clearings are a very, very serious situation, and you have 50 people on the field and 4 umpires trying to keep calm. And the first thing you want to do is separate the aggressors and get everybody back towards their dugouts. But in this situation, I think Cishek got ejected because of his actions after the pitch and not because he intentionally threw at him, because I don't think he did intentionally throw at him. So I think Crew Chief Mark Carlson did an excellent job here. You want to get rid of the aggressor. You want to stop future problems. And this was the 4th time somebody got hit in 2 days. You can't predict the future, but you want to stop this situation from getting any worse. So I think that's why Cishek got ejected.
Yeah, so you said
he kind of came off the mound and said, "Come on," like that kind of aggression baseball does not want. And they want all 4 umpires to get together and discuss the situation, and I think that's what happened.
Well, and that was my next question, was what were his actions afterward that would have warranted that, as the pitch fouled away after D. Gordon ground out. But when you look back at that, you mentioned managing the managers. What are those conversations usually being had between the 2 skips and the umpiring crew?
You know, the one manager says it was on purpose, and the other manager whose pitcher's on the mound says it wasn't. So you almost have to decipher, you know, what you think happened. It's very hard to get into a pitcher's head. You have to take the situation into consideration, and anything that happened in the past. Some of them are easy. The guy hits a couple home runs and the next guy gets hit. You know, when he does it on purpose, it's easy. When he doesn't do it on purpose and the ball gets away from him, then you have to start, well, are they going to retaliate? Are they not going to retaliate? So we're really trying to predict what's going to happen in the future.
Scherzer with 2 outs, and the 1-2. He gets Hernandez to chase. It's another strikeout for Max Scherzer. Clean 3 up, 3 down in the 5th. And again, thank you to Brian Gorman for explaining all of that for us. Mets on top by a run on Friday Night Baseball. Welcome back to Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus, presented by Q Health. I'm Melanie Newman alongside Chris Young, Hannah Kaiser, and Brooke Fletcher here at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. This has been one, if you've missed it, well, we don't know what to tell you here, but we have an answer for you, though. Earlier, we asked Siri who had the most hits for the Mets last season. The answer, guys, if you listened, Pete Alonso with 147 hits. He also led homers, RBI, and runs scored in addition to OPS, the whole thing. But I mentioned that. I didn't say the numbers, but I did mention that.
Now that you bring it up, I do remember you saying that.
I actually conspire with Siri, so I plant trivia answers throughout the game. You've just got to find them like Easter eggs.
I guess we need to listen to you more often, Mel.
Quizzing us. All right, I see how it is.
We just block you out and then just say random things.
That's fair. Victor Arano takes over on the mound. It's the 3rd reliever for Dave Martinez Nationals. The right-hander will get the bottom end of the order here. Canha, McNeil, and Nido due up.
Arano is what we would call a slider monster.
Ooh.
I mean, he's a slider first pitch guy. 62% of the time he's throwing a slider. Then the rest of the time he throws the sinker or the 4-seam.
Infield on the left side.
Hi.
So we've been looking here. There's not many guys that have a bat like Canha's. You get the colors, you get all these customizations, but he takes his a step further in the build.
You see, if you look at the bottom of the screen right there, you'll notice that the knob of his bat is shaped very differently than a custom bat knob. Most bat knobs are round. His is what we call an axe handle. Somebody who made the axe handle very famous would be Mr. Mookie Betts, a former MVP. And he was a guy who got with the bat company and had this bat knob. And what the point of it is, it's supposed to allow you to be shorter to the ball. It puts your hands in a better position to where you can be more direct with your swing. And a lot of hitters swear by it. I was a guy, I tried it out for one time. I was all radial pull hitter. it made me even shorter to the ball, and I just started pulling balls foul left time after time, and I couldn't hit with it. But the guys who hit with that axe handle completely swear by it.
Well, you stole that. I was just going to ask, did you try it? Because if it's so successful, why wouldn't everybody try it? But that makes sense. It's not a one-size-fits-all bat. You mentioned Mookie Betts. That's where Canha decided to use it from. He saw Mookie, saw that success. He said, let's do that.
It's one of those situations when you see an MVP doing something, you at least give it a shot. So if you see Juan Soto swinging anything out there, you're like, you know what? Let me see your bat a little bit. Let me see what that feels like.
Foul ball here. Jeff McNeil is in the on-deck circle.
I mean,
what is the name for this one?
I mean, this is a no-knob bat.
It's just a no-knob?
So, I mean, on that bat, he's feeling nothing but the head of the bat. He likes to feel the end. He likes to feel the weight at the end of the bat. You're not feeling anything from the knob. He chokes up extremely, and he takes it completely out of play. The knob is used, believe it or not, as a counterbalance for the bat. Some players like a really big knob on the bat because it balances the bat out, makes it feel lighter. Other players like to feel the head of the bat. They want their bat to feel heavier so they can feel the head coming through the zone.
It almost looks like, have you ever seen a jig? You use that in bartending where you can pour the liquor so you can measure it and then you dump it into the drink. That's what McNeil's looks like. It's called a jig. There you go.
former bartender, huh?
17 years of my life. Working my way through the minor leagues there, but it's all good because that's how we get to name bats now. That was what all of that was for in the end. I've just come full circle in my entire life. How you can't not choke up on that though, because I feel like it goes flying if you don't.
Yeah, you lose it. You need a lot of pine tar, and you need to choke up.
I was gonna say, I was afraid that was a stupid question. Don't you just lose the bat?
Base hit, left field. Mark Canha, he's grinding an axe here against the Nationals. Missed out on a double in the third after he didn't stretch quite enough, picked up a walk, and now he's got the single to start the sixth.
Mark Canha looks good, and what's interesting to me is after playing his whole career in Oakland, now he comes here to New York, and he said in spring training, I feel like there's always someone asking me if I need help. It's just that there are so many resources here. The staff has been incredible. I'm not used to this many people asking me if I need anything all the time. And it's interesting because that echoes something that I heard last year from Marcus Semien, who had also played in Oakland his entire career until he went to Toronto. And he said, the facilities, they're amazing. And then he went on to have an MVP finalist kind of season. Not sure we'll see exactly that out of Mark Canha, but maybe Matt Olson or Matt Chapman.
So Jeff McNeil, he's got no knob, and he's got this one back up the middle. Washington defense spinning, and they can't get a hold of this one. Michael Franco in the shift behind second, tried to lay out and make the play.
I think the ball was deflected a little bit right here. For pitchers, it's so tough when you see the ball coming right back at you to not try to put the glove on it. But right there, you see Franco was in a perfect position to feel that ball and step on second base. But when it was deflected, it completely took him out of play. And McNeil's able to get a single out of it.
Well, and he does trap it. It keeps runners at first and second. 10 hits for the Mets this evening.
The Mets keep putting themselves in a position to blow the game open. It keeps sneaking out, but this could get out of hand very quickly. You continue to have 2 and 3 runners on base with no outs inning after inning. Sooner or later, it's bound to catch up with you.
Charging way in comes Josh Bell, showing signs for a bunt here for Nido. And he rolls this one back.
So for Nido, when you're trying to put the bunt down and Josh Bell runs in as early as he did, knowing that you're bunting, you have 2 options. You either bunt it to third base, which is what you're trained to do when there's a runner on second base, or you pull back and slash. If Bell is going to crash that early, it opens up the entire right side of the field, and you have an opportunity to shoot the ball the other way, because if you bunt it to him, it's an automatic out at third base.
Canha and McNeil aboard.
We've seen a lot of bunt attempts through these first 2 games, considering this is the National League with a DH. Why do you think that is?
Guys trying to, get the game rolling. Most notably, Cano yesterday. Cano had a bunt base hit yesterday, and that's something that I'm sure it's been years since Cano, especially playing with the Yankees, playing in the American League with Seattle, it's probably been years since he even attempted to bunt. So for him to be able to put one down successfully yesterday was very impressive.
You talk about trying to be locked in at the plate, and I'm sure there's tunnel vision to a degree. Some guys say it's more extreme than others. Does that not catch you in your peripheral at all, though, when you have a guy as big as Josh Bell who's barreling in? He's shoulder to shoulder with the pitcher now.
I think it's very gutsy of Josh Bell to crash that early, because you know that he sees you and he has the opportunity to pull back and slash that ball right at you. And from that close, it will be very tough to react.
Rano and Ruiz finally on the same page. Here comes Bell again, still sticking to a bunt, but Arano with a miss.
A lot of bunts and a lot of small balls, surprisingly. Mets have scored, but only 1 home run. Scored 4 runs and only 1 of them on the home run. A little surprising here. This is the baseball people want, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is small ball. This is about manufacturing runs. You have a lead, and you're trying to continue to tack on to that lead. And this, I think, is still a great way to make that happen, especially if you're a guy who's not known for handling the bat as much.
Sticking to the bunt, rolls back to the pitcher. Arano with the scoop, throws over to first. Hernandez covering. It moves runners. They'll go station to station here up at second and third for Canha and McNeil.
And that bunt's not how you draw it up. You ideally would like to bunt it to the third base side, but he bunted it soft enough right back at the pitcher that Josh Bell couldn't come in with the good angle to make the play and throw to third base. But that's perfect form right there. You're just catching the ball with the end of the barrel of the bat. You hit it off the end of the barrel of the bat, it deadens the ball, and allows it to come off soft.
Would you believe that's his 3rd sacrifice bunt that he's attempted?
You know, that is surprising.
He figured it out. Infield in again. Runners moved up, back to the top of the lineup. Nimmo taking a big hack. Triple and a single for the center fielder today.
Right here, Nimmo, just a little over-aggressive right here. I think it's not so much about the pitch that you're looking for. You're more looking for a zone. You're looking for a ball that you can get up in the zone. You have the infield in, so you're not trying to get a ground ball in this situation. You're trying to get a fly ball or something hard through the middle of the field to get this run in. And to get that, you normally have to get a pitch up in the zone to help you out a little bit.
Escobar a couple feet in on the green.
I mean, bunting Nimmo Nido makes complete sense because you have a guy in Nimmo who is prototypically a guy who can put the bat on the ball. He's not a high strikeout guy. He can put together 2 at-bats. Even though he has 2 strikes on him, he's not out there at bat. He's chasing a little bit right now, early in the season, maybe being a little over-aggressive. But this is the moment where you shorten up, maybe spread out a little bit, and find a way. A strikeout cannot happen in this situation. It does happen, but you don't want it to happen.
Mets would like a little more than that 1 run. This one rolls away, foul.
What I really like that he made an adjustment right here. If you watch his hands on his bat, this next frame, he is choked way up on the bat right here. He's making sure that he can wait as late as possible to not chase something out of the zone, allow the ball to get extremely deep, and put the bat on the ball. So you may typically have your hands at the bottom of that knob right there with no strikes or 1 strike. After you get to 2 strikes, we have to make an adjustment. And it's nice to see big league guys doing this because the game is known for guys to continue to swing for the fences. Nimmo goes against the grain. He chokes up and is trying to find a way to make it happen.
0-2 outside. And we were talking about this a minute ago. Teams that are going back to small ball. You're starting to see that those fundamental plays coming back in so much. And what I think I always loved was home runs are sexy, but a game of only home runs and strikeouts gets sleepy. You want to see that action. You want to see guys that are able to, go for that diving play in its second. And that's starting to see what we're here that's unfolding tonight.
I would much rather see Nimmo in this situation right now in a 1-2 count than a guy who hits 200 with 40 homers.
He works the count back even.
Because what it does for his approach to choke up, he's not going to swing at that pitch, because if you have just a split second more time to make a decision on if I'm going to swing at this pitch or am I not going to swing at it, that confidence that you have allows you to let the ball get there, and you don't chase as much.
And we are seeing that excellent eye from Nimmo that we talked about earlier in action. Got down 0-2 and now worked back to an even count.
He's dropped that strikeout probability, 28%. Again, right there in the bottom right of your screen. And he beats the odds, not in the way he wanted with that one, though. A strikeout for Arano.
Like you said, that's what you can't have happen with runners on and just one out.
Yeah. Only if the game worked like that.
You talk about him being a slider monster. He got him on the slider.
Yeah, I mean, he's a slider monster, and the reason that he's a slider monster is because he has a really good slider. I mean, he starts this slider at the knees, bottom of the zone. Nimmo picks it up as a fastball early, and he gets him to chase.
So 2 outs now, trying not to leave Canha and McNeil aboard at third and second. Starling Marte.
And as a hitter, you're sick when that happens, especially when they bunt the guys over to get them to third base for you. You feel like you have a free at-bat because the sac fly doesn't count as an out, doesn't count as an at-bat for you. You get the RBI. You feel like that's, they set it up for you, and then you're not able to come through. It's really disappointing. He'll be upset. He'll go look at the at-bat, and he'll make an adjustment next time, hopefully. And he'll notice earlier in the count, he needs to be a little more selective about understanding where he wants that pitch to start.
Marte, double in the 5th. Jordan Baker waves it off.
I mean, that slider almost has split action on it. I mean, you're talking about 2 guys who have really good control of the strike zone. I mean, you're seeing check swings and 1-0 counts. I mean, that says a lot about how effective his slider is.
Inside. Well, now that I feel like I've got a little clearance here, because I knew if I asked you a question, something would happen to wrap that up. So the sliding strikeout against Nimmo, a lefty, now having that success against a righty in Marte. With breaking pitches, you'll usually see pitchers alternate who they go to depending on what side of the plate. So how successful do you have to be? Like you just said, it's almost like a split action.
It is a split action, and that's what makes it so tough as a hitter, is that, I know it's a slider, but where do I need this pitch to start for it to be a strike? And I need to know that before I even go to the dish. Right there, that's the pitch to hit that Marte just had. He left it up in the zone, and when that happens, that's when damage can happen. And Arano knows he made a mistake. He knows he got away with the run right there. I mean, you'll see this ball pops up right out of his hand. That is the perfect pitch to hit, and Marte knows that he missed his pitch. Now the hard decision is, can he sneak this fastball by me? Or is he going to go to his bread and butter slider? And that's what makes the game so hard.
Deuce is wild. Marte out to right field. Can it stay fair? No. Ricochets off the hands of a fan. They're going to feel that one tomorrow.
Not too many times in the big leagues do you get 2 mistakes in a row like that. Marte's starting to feel better. He feels like he's seen the breaking ball a few times. Feel like he has a good gauge on where this pitch needs to start. This would be a good moment, in my opinion. Arano has shown that the slider is slipping a little bit right now. You may be able to catch him off guard with the heater. But you're playing with fire. You still got to hit your spot.
Nationals bullpen is quiet. This is on Arano. They're trying to get another inning after Doolittle finished the 5th in its entirety. Down low, count runs full again.
When you show a good big league hitter the same pitch over and over and over again, they get a better gauge. So what the pitcher's thinking is, yeah, I threw 2 bad sliders, but that shouldn't stop me from throwing a good one right here. I'm still trying to execute the pitch. So it's not always the pitch that you're throwing, it's just about executing that pitch.
Payoff. Marte socks this one into left field, down for a base hit. 1 run will score. Here comes the next, and it's a 2-run single. Yadiel Hernandez throws it in. Marte Parte, though, he extends the lead 6-3, and the Mets are finally starting to push that door open a little further.
Lorano kept going back to the well. He went with the slider one more time, left it up one more time. I mean, that's 3 out of 4 pitches that he kept going to that slider, and he lost the feel of it, left it up in the zone. And Marte may miss it once, but he's not going to miss it twice.
Half the runs belong to Marte this evening. Mets 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Marte 2 for 2. He might get a little bit of that McNeil birthday magic going on as he's chased back over to first.
What a great at-bat.
Luis Guillorme took over as the pinch runner for Lindor. Then came on defensively. Now we'll get his first at-bat of the evening.
We talk about how there's been a lot of small ball instead of home runs. I'm curious to see why. What's it like? I mean, I know you're not a pitcher, but all that traffic on the base paths, does that help the offense, the batting team? Because they're putting pressure on the pitcher just by being out there. He knows he's got to make a pitch.
You have the mentality as the offense to just continue to keep the line moving. Continue to get that next guy to the plate. We don't have to get them all at one time. Just continue to tack on and find a way to get the hit.
Now the Nationals will get their bullpen activated. And Scherzer is the only one who has stepped out of the Mets dugout this evening and taken over on the mound. Martinez trying to avoid calling on his 4th arm of the evening.
Marte may be looking to get a bag right here.
Patrick Murphy up. The 1-1 to Guillorme. Picked by Escobar. The throw to first in time, and 6-3 they wrap it up, but Marte adds on. It's 6-3 New York. Juan Soto is not very verbal when it comes to his on-field presence, not in the slightest, as he has been up for all of his teammates. You saw him get amped for that Josh Bell 2-run shot there at the end down in the dugout. This is a guy, again, the Nationals are really hoping that they can lock up to a decade-plus extension. He's only 23. But that magic number we're hearing is $500 million.
There's been some Ruben reports out there about some pretty big numbers that are getting thrown around.
I feel like you have to have like the Dr. Evil, like the pinky up when you talk about it.
I want $500 million.
Scherzer still out and dealing as he has a changeup for a strike.
Oh, that's beautiful. Scherzer will use that changeup early in the count, late in the count. That's what makes him so tough to hit, is that you can never predict what you're going to get in a certain situation. He can literally go to the kitchen sink at any time.
Soto gets a piece of that. Let's take a look at the spray chart here, though, for Juan Soto.
And this is what separates Soto from the rest of the big power hitters in the game. When you look at his spray chart, he literally hits the ball all over the field. Even if you pay attention to those white lines, see those homers, there's more homers to the left side of the field than to the right side, and that makes him extremely dangerous.
That was StatCast powered by Google Cloud. You saw him kind of argue that changeup strike a minute ago, and that just lets you remember that he might not show you that he is anything less than confident against Scherzer, but Scherzer's still the vet that's got a thing or two to teach a guy like Soto.
Before the lockout, the Nats made Soto an offer for an extension. $350 million, 13 years. That's not going to get it done.
As he passes off the bat, he picks up a free base. Walk starts the 6th. Brooke, you've got something on another guy who's also got a thing to teach Soto.
Yeah, when you look at Juan Soto, I mean, he's complete in so many different ways, and you're wondering, well, what's his ceiling? Well, now they added a veteran presence in this lineup right behind him, Nelson Cruz. I asked Davey Martinez, well, how has that helped him? He said he's not only helped Soto, but he's just helped the entire team. He said he remembers the first day that they got him, he was taking BP, but then he stopped. He went over to help his teammates with mechanics, and that's when Davey was like, okay, I'm really going to like this guy. Just to see the things that he's doing every day, just having conversations with the young guys and the veterans is just awesome to see, and they're really going to benefit from having him on the team, guys.
Yeah, it's hard to find somebody who doesn't like having Nelson Cruz in their clubhouse. You just hear glowing reviews every stop he makes along the way. He's never looking for a job. There's guys knocking down the door because not only do they want what he brings as an individual, but his influence is just so massive.
It is. It is. On the field, watching him hit batting practice, I asked him.
Splintered bat stays on the infield. Hot play here, 6-4-3.
I asked Cruz, how much longer do you want to play? He said, I don't know, man. I feel good. I feel like I can continue to go out there and play. And what I admire about him, you got to remember, Cruz came into the league in 2005. The game has changed so much over the years. Pitchers have changed so much over the years to where, you know, he went from coming into the league when guys were throwing 88 to 92. And now still being in the league where guys are throwing 97 to 100 on seems like a nightly basis. And him getting older, being able to keep his bat speed up, continuing to be able to make adjustments to stay up with the game is so impressive and very hard to do.
He's a consummate teammate, too. He was with the Rays for just half a season last year, and when they clinched a division title, he secretly switched out all the champagne in their clubhouse, Dom Perignon. Teammates didn't even know about it.
I thought you were going like he made it grape juice to like play.
No, no.
He went like way big.
He upscaled it for them. He was like, this is what you got to do as a veteran. You got to take care of your guys.
Josh Bell, but it's a rope right back to Jeff McNeil, who's got it with a little bit of a leap. And the double play wraps it all up after 6-3. Mets on top of the Nats on Friday Night Baseball. Well, Max Scherzer threw 6 innings, 6 strikeouts. He's getting the handshake there from Buck Showalter. So you might want to think that his night could be done so far. Let's take a look at some pinpoint accuracy presented by Q Health.
Well, sure, he hit the whole kitchen sink early in the game. He was really trying to find his slider, really try to find his breaking ball, but you knew once he found it, it was going to be trouble, and he used a complete balance of his pitches to be able to keep the Nationals off balance. He made a couple mistakes, gave up the big ball to Bell. Things happened, he moved on, and now he's in line for the win.
Drew Smith up in the Mets bullpen. Scherzer there, 80 pitches, 53 of those were for strikes. Given that this guy had missed a couple days, again with that hamstring issue, it was on the day he was supposed to start in a minor league game that he was suddenly scratched. They made the announcement, but he just kept saying, not a big deal. I've got it under control. I've done these 1,000 times. Give me 2-3 days, and we're fine. And I think that tonight would show that he's fine. He also hit those BetMGM strikeout odds.
He was definitely fine. I was concerned. Going into the game, we talked to Buck and we said, hey, would you with him coming from the tweaked hammy, would you be more careful with him? Hey, he trusts his guy. Scherzer knows how his body feels. He's a veteran in the game. And he showed that he was fine.
Pete Alonso facing Patrick Murphy. One pitch and sent right back bouncing to Maikel Franco, who played it on the backside, throws across to first, and Bell on a knee makes the first out. That's some efficiency for you.
It's 2 at-bats in a row. For Pete Alonso, going out, being really aggressive, and sometimes it doesn't work out. There's 2 times he's gone 1 pitch, 1 out.
Switch hitter Eduardo Escobar up. Back from the left side. His one right appearance was a strikeout. He'll take a strike here. That infield shifts again for the Nationals against Escobar.
Mel, you excited to see the shift go away?
Okay, so
what we got?
I have a heart for the smaller teams. And I read this like nerd book probably 5 years ago about the origination of the shift. And Clint Hurdle was a part of that back in Pittsburgh, and how they were trying to find a way to have a competitive advantage with the talent that he was being given. And that's how they started doing all these deep analytics, coming up with the shift. Do I think it's gotten out of control to a degree? Yes. But overall, when you're not sticking 5 men in your outfield and calling that a game, I generally like the shift. You know, it's a challenge to both sides. So I think, yeah, when you rein it in a little bit, okay. Do you ban the shift entirely? I don't like it. It's a very hot button topic in our house, though. My other half absolutely wants the whole shift gone. He wants your feet to be glued exactly where you are in the infield.
I would not miss seeing Manny Machado make plays in deep right field. I would not. You know, I like to see, you know, players. I like to see a shortstop play shortstop. I like to see a third baseman play third base. And I feel like if you have all these shifts going on, especially in a game where we value the analytics so much, how can we value a guy's range if he's a third baseman but he's making a play in shallow right field? You know, it's really tough to gauge, in my opinion.
How can we say we value analytics if we're not letting them shift?
I mean, no, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I think you got me there.
I think that's my concern. I agree. I think that the abundance of shifts, the overabundance of shifts, it's made the game a little less watchable. I understand that we can spend an entire 9-inning game talking about the way that certain advancements have slowed down the game, made it more of a 3 true outcomes kind of sport. But I think you got to find a way to shake it up that isn't just sort of piling esoteric rules on top of esoteric rules.
Okay, in response to that, could it be argued that the analytics, we're valuing analytics, could it be argued that analytics has actually caused the 3 true outcomes?
Oh, it absolutely has. It absolutely has. That's what I'm saying. It's difficult to say that we got to, like, the problem in baseball is that they're all too smart, and you can't just say you need to play stupider.
So as a hitter, you've learned my tendencies. You've literally put everybody in a position that makes it's already hard enough to hit 300. It's already hard enough to get a hit 3 out of 10 times, but now you're gonna put the shift in place to make it where my odds are 1 out of 10, and then you're gonna be mad when I go out there and hit 215. It's very, I mean, counterproductive if we want action in the game. If the goal is more action, this is a very easy way, in my opinion, to get more action. You speed the game up. You have a pitch clock. I completely love the pitch clock. You take away the shift. Now, voila. Guess what?
That fixes it?
Oh, guess what? 2023, it will be a lot of action, a lot more action, guaranteed.
Franco shifts back, deep ball, left field, playable for Yadiel Hernandez. They retire Cano. And 2 down. I think we have found the two of you's debate podiums here. This is the topic. We have struck it here in the 7th. But now, guys, as you mentioned, Franco has played a lot behind second tonight before he shifts back over to his natural position at third. Didn't matter anyway, as Cano sent that one out to left again with Hernandez, and it brings up Mark Canha again facing Patrick Murphy in a 6-3 Mets ball game. I mean, I'm gonna need the two of you to prepare like written 5-page.
We'll do that next.
Do a dissertation.
12-point font statements.
That's what we should have done in the light delay.
Hey, I love the direction the game is going. I love all the changes. I'm all for it. And it is what it is.
Do you guys know that during the pandemic shutdown, Mark Canha worked on his college degree by taking public health classes over Zoom at UC Berkeley?
I thought you were going to say an analytics degree.
That might have benefited him a little better. I'm not sure that he's doing much with his public health degree, but I'm sure that he is taking those COVID protocols very seriously.
He might be the team leader. That's a great point.
And his professor told Alex Coffey at The Athletic, Mark often unmuted himself and chatted with the class. He asked a lot of questions, answered questions, and spoke up. In fact, he was one of the more active students. Don't you just love that?
I do love that.
In the age of Zoom students, yeah.
Hey, I just went through it.
I was just going to ask, what kind of Zoom student were you, CY?
I just graduated in December.
Congratulations.
You know, and I was one of the students to where I'm in class and we're having group, we have group classes. You have to join a team, and I'm in class with, 18 to 21-year-olds that are just trying to find their way, and I'm in there, the old guy in class.
Hey, you don't look old, though.
I mean, My birth certificate just disagrees with you. I mean, I'm not
Look, look, when we're walking
I'm
through
like
the
baseball
tunnel and
old.
enough of the active guys are what's up and hey, are you coming to take some hacks with us? You're doing fine.
I would love to take some hacks. I would love to hit on the field one more time, hit some batting practice on a major league field.
Careful what you wish for. That might be our segment next week.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Everybody's in 42 next week. They won't tell the difference.
Oh, in Dodger Stadium, I would love to take BP in Dodger Stadium. It's a good hitter's yard for me in the daytime. Nighttime, not so much.
Buck Showalter told us that we would only ever find out what his walk-up song would be if they let him walk up, if they let him bat.
So disappointing. Full count for Mark Canha. 2 outs as he fouls another one away here. So we need CY and Buck to step up and take some hacks, basically. Because one, we just want you to swing because you want to swing, but we need to know this mysterious secret Buck Showalter walk.
I think we got to bring Buck in as a pinch runner, and he gets his walk-up song in a pinch runner's role.
He might drop you to the floor with a look if you tell him he's pinch running.
Hey, he has one of the best jogs in the game. I love seeing Buck run out to the mound.
You know what they should do? They should give managers walk-out songs when they're taking their start.
Ooh, that would be a good call.
There we go. Put that one in the notes, MLB. We're going to get walkout songs
I know you guys can change rules faster now. We can have that in place by 2023.
Strikeout for Mark Canha. Oh, foul. Got a piece of it. He's starting to walk back towards the dugout. Takes a slow turn back in.
Mel, you know if he strikes out right here, he's going to watch this game back, because on Apple, you can go back and look at it again.
Great point.
You know, you can go back and look at it again. Canha's going to go look at it. He's going to say, look at her speaking my strikeout into existence.
Not quite.
Yeah, and Buck is going to go back and watch it and see that you made fun of his jog.
I did not make fun. I complimented
he admired it.
Don't try to put that on me. He needs a jog out song. What are you talking about?
Runner goes. Won't matter. It's a walk for Mark Canha. So
Lucky
take
you.
that, CY.
Lucky you. It was about to be bad in the Newman household.
It's not usually great there. That's usually the first phone call. Hey, so in the 4th, let me tell you what you missed. All right. All right, let's go. Look, I'm only human. All right. He looked like he took a swing. He started to walk back. We're about 40 miles up here.
Hey, if we can't call each other out on our stuff, you know,
what kind of team are we if we can't do that?
I will give you plenty of opportunities. Trust me.
So here's the 30-year-old flying squirrel again with 2 outs and 2 on. 2 for 3 night, not too bad. There we are. Don't even know if you can see us.
Can you see us waving?
Probably not.
I asked like the viewers were going to answer.
Oh, it's coming in. Here we are.
This is where you better have your flying squirrel parachute ready.
Oh, there we are.
Are we there?
Pump it up.
This is why they keep touching up our makeup for this real wide shot.
Roller foul.
Oh, our 5 seconds of fame was great, wasn't it?
You've had a little more than 5 seconds.
Look, Ma, I'm on
Humoring
TV.
us. You're humoring us.
Hey, my mom is watching the game right now just for that moment, so allow me to enjoy this.
Look, you got your mom. You got Adam Jones.
Jonesy.
He's giving you some credit.
Hey, Jonesy's still a huge baseball fan.
He knows a thing or two.
Jonesy would kill it in here.
A few years ago, I got to talk to Max Scherzer right before my 30th birthday, and I was asking him all kinds of existential questions, and he's like, what's going on? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm about to turn 30. And then he confessed that he had a really hard time turning 30. You would never guess. He's been so great in his 30s. But yeah, I was looking back at what I wrote, and he said, oh yeah, you're like, oh no, I'm 30, I'm dying. Did you feel like you were dying when you turned 30?
I did.
Did you?
I did not.
Oh, yeah.
Not that great. I had a great day. I just didn't want to acknowledge it. And actually, I don't expect you to have watched Gilmore Girls, but there's an episode called The Dark Day. And I got a whole care package on my birthday called Melanie's Dark Day. And that's just what we referred to it as.
I can extremely sympathize. I turned 30 early in the pandemic, and
it's like not fair. Like we should have a do-over for
I
that.
think I'm still 29.
Forever.
And the Nationals are still the World Series champions.
You know, and Dave Martinez did mention something about that. He said, yeah, to a degree, we carry a chip on our shoulders because it never felt like it came to fruition. It was like living a dream because that reality of hoisting it in front of fans never happened. And that team carries this. It's now 3 walks in the inning here for Patrick Murphy. Loads the bases. He got a ground out to start it off in 1 pitch. And then a walk to Eduardo Escobar, Mark Canha, and Jeff McNeil. And you got him juiced.
Here's Dave Martinez. He has something that his counterpart across the way does not have, and that is a World Series ring. It's incredible. Buck Showalter has managed all these years, still looking for his first title.
Well, as Dave Martinez makes his way out, it's going to be a pitching change. Patrick Murphy is done. Mets with the lead. Nationals trying to keep things where they're at. This is Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+.
Lauren Gardner with your Apple studio update. A lot of action around the majors here on this Friday. We're going to start off in Atlanta. That's Travis d'Arnaud who singled to center. 2-run score to make it 5-0 Braves as they currently lead 7-0. North of the border, the Blue Jays, check this out, trailed to the Rangers 7-0, but the Jays came all the way back to tie it up with the Teoscar Hernandez home run. Then Santiago Espinal with the RBI double. They're in the bottom of the 6th, now tied up at 8 apiece. Out to the Bronx for the Yankees season opener. The bringer of rain in his first game as a Yankee walks it off against the Sox in the 11th inning. Out to the Bay Area now. Yes, extra innings in this one as well. Bottom of the 10th. 2-2 pitch with 2 outs. Austin Slater walks it off with an RBI double. Darren Ruff scores, and the Giants beat the Marlins 6-5. Out to the Mile High City here. 2-2 the score in the top of the 4th. 2 outs, runner on first for Mookie Betts, who doubles down the left line. Gavin Lux can't even keep his helmet on there. Scores to make it 3-2 as the Dodgers go on to win 5-3. Now out to the city of brotherly love. Schwarbaum leading off the game. He homers in his first Phillies AB to give the Phillies a 1-0 lead. They go on to beat the A's 9-5. Back out to you, Melanie, CY, Hannah, and Brooke.
Well, it's a 1-pitch pop-up by Thomas Nido as Josh Bell reels it in, and that's going to do it. Paolo Espino, quick work here as we head to the stretch. Mets on top of the Nationals. And you could win $100,000 worth of Bitcoin or cash with MLB Season Pick'em presented by FTX. View rules and enter at MLB.com/Season Pick'em. It's going to be a big one. Mets have a lot to pick from this year, certainly, as they're trying to improve things in the National League East. They've got it tough, though. Braves and Phillies have both made some big improvements, and the Nationals have proven tonight that they can still be a little bit of a thorn in your side, albeit Max Scherzer. You saw him shaking hands with Buck in the last inning. He is, in fact, done 6 innings of work, 3 runs, 3 hits, walk, hit batsman, 6 strikeouts. He gives away for the righty, Drew Smith, here in the 7th.
We ended last inning talking about how Buck Showalter still hasn't won that first World Series ring, but he's won a lot of other games. He's got 1,552 wins in 21 seasons as a manager. That's 4th most among active managers.
Base hit, Keibert Ruiz, as he drops this into right field. He'll lead off the 7th with a single.
It's been really nice to watch him play these last couple days. I mean, we've been out here at Nationals Park for a couple days, and watching him, the quality of the at-bats that he's able to put together, I'm really excited to see him, you know, catch 130, 135 games this season and see what he's made of.
Caught a runner stealing yesterday, too.
He's certainly stepping up, proving that he got that top prospect tag for a reason. Hannah, to your point with Buck, what was it, 3 Manager of the Year awards with 3 different stops. The only place he didn't win it was Arizona.
He has the 3rd most managerial wins ever without a World Series title.
Unfortunate.
But this could be the year. That's what everyone is saying, right? The Mets come into this season with incredible expectations on them after owner Steve Cohen went out and just splurged this offseason. Max Scherzer, obviously the headline acquisition. They changed up all over the place, including Buck Showalter as the manager, Billy Epler in GM. One of the things I thought was interesting that Buck said this spring was, the thing I have the most respect for in teams and coaches that win when they're expected to. It's hard to win when you don't have that chip on your shoulder.
That's very true. And guys like, you know, managers like Buck, managers like Dusty Baker, those are the managers that you pull for because they find a way to balance out, understanding the analytics, but also understanding personalities and how to communicate with their players and how to keep everybody in the clubhouse happy. Because managers, believe it or not, they're like psychiatrists for a clubhouse.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they're people who, yes, you have to make the decisions on the field, but you also have to keep all your players happy and be able to take a pulse of your clubhouse. And Buck is one of those guys who's always been able to do that. When I talk to players who played for Buck in the past, they always love that he's going to tell you like it is. And you always respect that with your manager because he will tell you your role, he will let you know where you stand with the team, and he'll find a way to get the best out of you as a player. And that's all you can ask for from a manager.
Yadiel Hernandez threw a cutter from Drew Smith. Strikeout and one away. Still again with Keibert Ruiz hanging out at first. And you mentioned Steve Cohen bringing in all of these people. Of course, this year they introduced the Cohen tax. CPT starts at $230 million. There's 3 different tiers. There's now a 4th tier. It's 62.5% for $60 million plus. And Steve Cohen said, well, I'd rather have that named after me than a bridge. So if you were wondering things to name him after, don't pick a bridge.
Steve Cohen tax, I love it.
We were debating that in spring training that day in Mets camp. Would you rather have a tax named after you than a bridge? I think I'd take the bridge. What does it say about Steve Cohen?
To me, I don't know. I'm not saying I want the tax. I'm just saying I want to know what the bridge looks like.
I'm saying if you win a couple World Series, you may get both. You'll get the tax and you'll get the bridge.
They might name a bridge after him in Queens if they can win it this year.
Bringing in absolutely everybody.
Drew Smith, 3-pitch guy to righties, 4-seam, cutter, curve. To lefties, he brings a change into play.
In spring training, I asked Billy Epler, what's it like to have an owner who sort of has these almost unlimited resources? It's, to be on this team that everyone is looking at because of their high payroll. And what was interesting was he said, it's not just, oh, it's great because you get all the best players. He said it means that we're always monitoring the market. There's nothing I'm not considering. He's bringing Steve possible moves all the time.
And sometimes that makes your job as GM, believe it or not, it could make it tougher. It could make it more challenging because, maybe in basketball you can go and get all the best players and know you're going to win. Maybe in football. In baseball, it's not automatic that if you spend the most money that you're going to even get to the playoffs. I mean, we're going to see some teams this season who spent a whole lot of money in the offseason that will not be in the playoffs, and some other teams who aren't spending a lot of money who are in the playoffs. So just because you can spend money doesn't necessarily make it automatic for you.
Well, you immediately look a little north of here, and the situation's been with the Yankees for over a decade now of being one of those top spending teams and just not seeing it come to fruition. Then you've got the smaller guys, Oakland, Tampa Bay, and they have found ways to absolutely make it work because they're kind of looking at some of those intangibles as well.
I think for baseball, especially modern baseball, it's not just about having good players on your team. It's about being a well-constructed team, and a lot of that comes down to the front office.
Back-to-back strikeouts on the cutter. Yadiel Hernandez and Michael Franco sat down. Big 2 outs for Drew Smith as Alcides Escobar, shortstop, stands in. He's trying to find his first knock of the evening.
Did you see Brian Cashman talking to reporters, telling them the details of what they had offered Aaron Judge as an extension that he turned down?
I mean, to a degree, you start to think with today's technology and access, maybe it comes out at some point. It's hard to picture a GM of the Yankees being that open 20 years ago, certainly. But, maybe you play devil's advocate a little bit that he might as well get ahead of somebody else.
That's what Cashman said. He said, otherwise I'm going to be fielding "can you confirm" texts all day.
Runner at first, Nationals down by 3. They've been out hit 11-4. And again, this is that year. You've got guys like Soto still keeping up that confidence, still saying, hey, we are a postseason team. He, Josh Bell, Nelson Cruz, the offense is not the question. It's, can your pitching shore it up? Can the defense shore it up? You saw those young rookie growing pains last year, some base running and defensive mistakes, and just hoping that this is when they start to turn that corner. Again, as we talked about, that 2-year rebuild. 0-2, and a tower behind second base. Clearing back, and with the catch goes McNeil. Nationals spoiled again. They trail 6-3 after 7. You're watching Friday Night Baseball. Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus is presented by Q Health, the most accurate COVID-19 self-test trusted by Major League Baseball. And sponsored in part by Geico. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. And by the Eat Fresh Refresh at Subway. We're through 7 here at Nationals Park. As Brandon Nimmo makes his way up, leadoff man to start off the 8th against Paolo Espino. He had 1 pitch. It put an end to the 7th. He figured, well, you've already got another reliever who only got in about 1 pitch, so you might as well keep him out again. Seth Lugo warming up in the Mets bullpen. Again, Scherzer done 6 innings, 3 runs.
Espino, unlike most bullpen pitchers in the game today, I mean, he's a 4-seam guy that's 88, 89 miles an hour, and he uses his curveball effectively and slider. Mixes the changeup in every now and then. You just don't see as many guys coming out the bullpen throwing 88, 89, but I feel like sometimes those guys can be effective because players are so used to seeing velo, velo, velo. If you're a guy like Espino, you can come in and keep guys off balance.
It's those craft pitchers. You focus on the movement, you focus on that location.
Oh!
I feel like we talk about that more with starters, especially those guys like Rich Hill who, you know, they come back and they realize they don't have that high velo anymore. Guys like Matt Harvey trying to make a comeback and they can't push that 97. So, okay, you take a step back. You've still got something in the tank, but it's a little different than what you've been putting out.
Last year I spoke to Cesar Valdez of the Orioles, who's a guy who makes it work without a lot of speed, trying to figure out if there was anything to that, CY, whether or not throwing slow is the new throwing fast, if everyone is throwing fast. Then he kind of got hit around a little bit and it didn't quite pan out. I was like, wow, he's off to such a great start. Maybe he's really found the secret, and that's to zag when everyone is zigging. But
I mean, thinking about it, I haven't seen a knuckleballer in a while. Is there a knuckleballer?
You should have been watching Orioles baseball last year, my friend. Mickey Janis finally made his debut. He is the knuckleballer. That thing has no movement on it. Strike to Starling Marte after a curveball strikes out Brandon Nimmo. They did slow-mo of it. When I tell you that baseball looked like it defied space, by those seams never moved.
Oh!
Yeah, I was playing. We had Wakefield, Hager. We had a few guys who threw a knuckleball, and they threw a good one. You even had a few position players that would go out there, and you would always practice it when you're playing catch with your teammates. Everybody wanted to see who had the best knuckleball. I could never throw one. Mine'd be spinning all over the place.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose a little bit. It's like it goes straight and you go, it's a curve.
No, knuckleballs is, you have the right nails and understand exactly how to push the ball off your finger. And for some reason, I had these sticky fingers that just grab those seams. Normal 4-seamer.
You also have to have a special glove to receive those as well.
You're a knuckleballer. Going and getting a manicure was a big deal. Like, your nails were a very big deal.
Like, your manicurist better be on point.
She better be on point, or he better be on point.
Two and fouled away here. Hey, let's send this down to Brooke because we heard you've got an update on Francisco Lindor after that scary moment earlier tonight.
Yeah, you guys, when he left in the 5th inning after getting hit by the pitch, we do have an update from the medical staff. He did pass concussion testing, and x-rays on his jaw were negative. So there is a bit of a positive, but he still is banged up.
And it's good to hear that he's cleared that as the 2-2 on the ground over to Hernandez to Bell.
When you get hit in the face, I mean, I've never been hit in the face, but from, you know, playing with other players who've been hit in the face, I remember you see Stanton who got hit in the face. There's a mental process you have to go through to be able to come back from it. Even if you're not, you know, heavily injured, like Lindor now has that in his mind. You know, Alonso now has that in his mind that somebody could let one go and hit you in the face. For some reason in the box, you don't think about that. But just having that little hint in the back of your mind that, man, he could let this thing go, it throws you off balance just a little bit. And it takes a little while to come back from it.
This is Luis Guillorme in Lindor's spot again. He took over for him as the pinch runner after he went down. And, you mentioned that, but that was like guys like Dansby Swanson. He was still a baby in the backfields in Arizona, and he got hit by one of his own teammates, obviously an accident, but in the mouth. And that's what brought him to wear a very protective helmet on both sides for a while, because getting through that mental block, like you said, it's a lot. You see the same thing when pitchers, if they get hit with a comebacker. We've had several scary moments throughout the game. Reliever Evan Marshall, they didn't even know if he would make it, and he's back in the big leagues. On the ground here, and a slow pick from Hernandez to Bell. Again, the 4-3 duo wrap up the final two. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Mets on top, 6-3 of the Nationals on Friday Night Baseball.
I don't know. Fuck me. No, you ain't taking me out.
Just hold on.
I appreciate you boys. I appreciate all you guys.
Hey.
As we start with Dee Gordon leading things off at the bottom of the 8th, and again, there have been a lot of storylines somehow that keep packing their way into tonight's game, but you got that extended footage there. Remember, we had Francisco Lindor mic'd up for this game, and somehow that ended up being a front row seat to some of what was going on, including the fact that Juan Soto, another guy with a mic on him, was one of the first to go over and check on him from the National side of things. And again, as our own Brooke Fletcher reported, he has cleared concussion protocols. You even heard him there. Nah, I'm in. Don't take me out. I'm staying in.
So, there are a few things you notice in that video right there. You notice that, first of all, Lindor still wants to stay in the game, which is a good sign for tomorrow. That he's feeling good enough to hopefully he'll be able to play tomorrow. 2, it shows a lot of camaraderie, and that's how you get closer to your teammates. Just knowing, even though nothing really happened right there as far as any kind of altercation, just knowing that your teammates have your back, that's something that builds relationships and builds a gel amongst your guys. And then 3rd, you saw Soto. You saw some of the National guys who are genuinely worried about Lindor, and you want to make sure that he's okay, which further tells me that we were not trying to hit him on purpose. Accidents do happen on the field, unfortunately, but you have to protect the game's players. And you can't have that happen. You can't have somebody getting hit up high multiple times. So I understand why it happens. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I completely understand. But to see the Nationals players being concerned about him, make sure he's okay. You don't want to see your guys hurt. With guys getting traded all the time, everybody's friends. It's not like the days of everybody's enemies and guys hate each other. Yeah, when you're competing, you're definitely going head-to-head against each other. But when it comes down to it, you don't want to see anybody out there getting hurt.
Base hit for Cesar Hernandez. Seth Lugo, the righty, his first inning of work, and the strikeout of Dee Gordon. And then comes in a 3-pitch single. Hernandez first of the night. And in comes Juan Soto. And to be fair, too, with what you were saying, it's not about the fact that it was Francisco Lindor. It doesn't matter if you're considered the, quote, the big star or that guy who's just kind of coming up off the bench. You don't want to see pitches that close to anybody, period.
Period.
Yeah, you talk about the storylines. We haven't seen the Mets retaliate. I don't think the storyline coming out of this game is any sort of tension between these two teams. I think it is just that these pitches, or these balls are hard to get a grip on, and that's a real problem.
Well, and I would be one to think that somebody like Buck and Dave are both very similar in that regard, but knowing that it was not intentional, that would go against kind of both of the way that they operate to then move in a vengeful regard. Is this one a hot shot back up the middle, played back by Guillorme on the run, and the throw to first not in time. They'll get the leadoff runner of Hernandez.
The designated hitter.
Soto legs out, the fielder's choice.
Yeah, Soto still hits his ball very hard through the middle of the field, but hey, that's why the defense is out there. He hustles down the line, keeps the inning going on, stays out of the double play.
6-5-3, everybody shifted around there a little bit, and in stands Nelson Cruz. I have to say, the OCD aesthetics of 22 and 23 going in order, and both of them being like the big bats, makes my brain very happy.
MLB announced yesterday that the Roberto Clemente Award winners will all wear a number 21 patch on their uniforms for the rest of their careers. Talking about that because Nelson Cruz is our most recent Roberto Clemente Award winner. He's one of 8 active Clemente Award winners. He won it for all of the philanthropic work he's done for his hometown in the Dominican Republic, which I thought was interesting. He played half a season with the Rays. We talked about the mentorship role that he could play to Soto and to really all the young guys on the Nationals team. He did that same thing for Wander Franco while he was with the Rays. Oh! And they got so close that this offseason when Franco signed that huge monster extension, Nelson Cruz was one of the first people that he called. And of course, Cruz congratulated him, but he also said, now your responsibility is bigger than it was in the past. And he specifically said, now you have to think about how you're going to be involved in your community, both Tampa and the DR.
Ground ball, McNeil back to first. And that'll wrap up the 8th. Nationals trailing the Mets 6-3. This is Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+. Bring your friends to the one spot with all of your favorite free MLB games. Play the hits with Beat the Streak, Quick Pick, and more. Visit MLB.com/play and download MLB Play today. We've had high fives, home runs, handshakes, and some very close moments in tonight's game. Again, you cannot ask for really anything else to possibly happen this evening. Paolo Espino is back out for another round as the rain that we thought would come in earlier, then we thought we had evaded. Well, it's found its way here in the 9th. Pete Alonso takes a strike. Paolo Espino, the longest working relief pitcher thus far for Martinez this evening, completed the 8th, got the final out of the 7th as Alonso sends this out to left field. It tucks itself up against the wall. It's going to be fair ball here. Yadiel Hernandez bobbles it. Alonso aboard at second.
Let me tell you, when Alonso puts the bat on the ball, he puts a charge in it, doesn't he? I mean, right here you get a slider. I got to see the location of it, but he hits a slider out in front a little bit.
To see it too.
He gets a slider up in the zone right here. Catches a little bit out in front, but his bat stays long. Oh, another axe handle. Another axe knob right there by Pete Alonso.
That preserves his 21-game on-base streak here at Nationals Park, which was in danger of getting broken. He hadn't gotten on base yet today, and I was about to say in his at-bat, I wonder if he's a little shaken up from getting hit in the face yesterday, but apparently not. Glad I didn't say it.
Well, and Alonso, again, we mentioned this at the Open, but he's had a rough start to the season. He got in a car accident during spring training. His wife in the car behind him watched it happen, and she said, I was afraid. I literally just watched my best friend die. And he came back and he was okay. And then, yeah, he opens up the season and he takes a hit right up top.
It's raining pretty hard now out here.
Dominic Smith in the on-deck circle now. That's in Robinson Cano's spot. Eduardo Escobar up. And we've seen that Nationals grounds crew. They've been out a couple times to talk to the umpiring.
Ooh.
K-Bear got a piece of that one. That grounds crew is waiting. And now they're going to call for it. So we are going to go into a rain delay. Here comes the tarp. You're going to taste the rainbow a little bit. Fans don't love to see it, but you got to protect your players when you're only game 2 into the season. In the middle of an Escobar at bat with Peter Alonso standing aboard at second. This game will go into a rain delay. We had a light delay to start the evening, by the way. I don't know. I think we can have an animal delay. You can have an animal run out the field. Anything else that we can possibly go through this evening. And hey, hats off to the grounds crew, because rolling the tarp is not a job that anybody volunteers for.
No, it's definitely an art. It is definitely an art. In the minor leagues, the players would have to roll the tarps out there. Mel, didn't you say
I'm going to fight you on that. We never had a player, not one player ever pulled. I had buddies in the bullpen. They would mock me while we tried to pull a tarp. There'd be 6 of us trying to pull that thing across the field. But to each their own. Allegedly, players pull a tarp in the minors.
Oh, a little taste of rainbow coming your way. Can we find out how much Skittles pays to be the only advertisement on the tarp?
There's a couple that choose to do that, though. The Red Sox, they've got the big LL Bean boots because you got to bring the coat out to cover the field. They like to get those sponsorships. We're gonna get one. You can pick the ballpark, but it's gonna just be your face on the tarp. Does that work?
I mean, I would take it. I mean, it's a massive tarp out there, and Skittles just takes a little corner. It seems like there's opportunity for 3 more corners, or does Skittle have to buy the entire tarp?
I think that's kind of up to them. I think that's up to their design crew. But let's look at this here a minute while you ponder what facial expression you want on yours, and if you're going to make it in the corner or in the middle. We had initially thought maybe the game yesterday doesn't happen. They did get it in. They evaded some weather. So then you come out tonight, blue skies, but then the lights don't turn on.
You didn't do yesterday justice. First they pushed it back 3 hours.
Well, look, we're going to be here till tomorrow.
Then they pushed it back again. We got time to film, Mel. You don't need to shorten this story.
Delay. We had you're right. You're right. Okay, in all fairness, originally scheduled for 4, then 7, then another delay to 8:20. Okay. So we're going to set it up there. Then you had 3 pitchers hit by the Mets last night that caused some comments from both managers on each side of what was going on, and both understood it was not an intentional situation. So you come back today, blue skies, it's Scherz Day. You see the fans pouring in. They're starting to wear the City Connect gear. Those are getting unveiled tomorrow. All good things. Well, then the lights get so excited that Scherzer steps out. They all come on, and then they get right back off again. Just a power outage. He's the Beyonce of baseball. So then they finally get the lights back on again. Well, we've got home runs. We've got Lindor getting hit. The bench is clear. I think that's the first benches clearing of the season, if that's something we want to put under our belts, that we saw that here. We have more guys getting hit. Now we've got a rain delay. Am I missing anything?
I mean, I think you hit it all. I don't know how you got through all of that. That was very impressive.
That's why I keep a book. It like reinforces it into
As a player, like, I mean, on TV, I mean, these cameras are amazing nowadays. It looks like it's pouring outside. Here in the booth, I mean, I'm from Houston. This is a light drizzle. When you're a player, you're in the 9th inning. Hey, we can play. Let's go. We can play.
I was just going to say, I only have to add to that, in that my 2 years in Mobile, we had over 80 tarp pulls before May 1st. And I'm talking leave your phone on at 2 a.m. because you might have to wake up and haul it to the field to get it covered, and then come back in the morning to get it off before the sun came up because it would burn into the field. But to each their own. We are in a rain delay nonetheless. In the top of the 9th, Pete Alonso got double off of Paolo Espino. Eduardo Escobar is in a 1-1 count. Arguably against Espino, we can see if they bring in somebody else. But we're going to finish this Friday Night Baseball. Keep it locked right here. You're watching Apple TV+.
First of all, it's very impressive that they probably needed, let's see, 450 to 600 bags of Skittles.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, you know, they could just run down to the closest convenience store and buy enough Skittles for the amount of fans that stayed through this rain delay. Shout out to them.
And we've got rowdy fans on both sides here. The Let's Go Mets chant started. The Let's Go Nats are in response.
It's great to stick around. You know, you pay the tickets for the game. You want the full experience.
Well, and
Was
usually
that lightning?
That's been going on for a while, my friend. You've been missing that. As Paolo Espino, 1-1 count. And we've got the first pitch. It's a ball 2-1 to Eduardo Escobar. Again, a double before we went to rain delay by Pete Alonso. Second pitch that he saw. Planted it out by that left field wall.
I mean, the rest of the bullpen for Washington were for sure tip their hat to Espino tonight. When they get in the clubhouse, he really looked out for the rest of the pen, and this could carry over to help the rest of this. I mean, there's still 2 more games this series and still 160 games left in the season. So when you have a guy like Espino that can come in and eat up a lot of innings in a game like this and keep it within reach. I mean, this game isn't over. I mean, you keep this game within reach, that's a very honorable outing by him.
Last pitch at 10:39. Next one at 11:17.
Nationals trying to get through this game without using more than 6 pitchers, because you're right, it's a long season. This is just the beginning, and everyone's pitchers are a little, short in how long they can go. You don't want to burn your bullpen now when you know all your starters aren't that stretched out.
The only good thing is that you do have a couple extra bullpen arms out there, at least until, I believe, May 1st.
It's true.
Comes around.
3-2. Espino loses Escobar. He'll take a walk. Runners at first and second.
expanded rosters for the month of April because of that issue. I think it's up to, what, 28? And interestingly, no limit on pitchers, which that limit is coming once we get past this expanded roster month.
We've got a pinch hitter, Dominic Smith, in for Robinson Cano. He was in the on-deck circle prior to the rain delay. So he's still the guy that they're going to go with here. And this is someone who you would think absolutely merits more playing time as the season progresses.
He's a player that it's a really tough situation, I think, in my opinion, for Buck to be in, because you have to find time to get Dominic Smith in the lineup because he's such a valuable player. I mean, he's a big trade piece that a lot of teams are going after, trying to get. And, you know, the Mets decided not to move him because he's the ultimate insurance policy. I mean, you're assuming at some point throughout the season, guys get banged up naturally. And he's able to move all around the field. He can play outfield. He can play first base. So if you have something happen, you need to have a Dominic Smith ready to step in and not really have a drop in production from whoever your everyday starter is.
That's true, and Buck particularly called out this idea that, you know, you don't want a guy to have to sit on the bench for too long when his season starts, not just because he needs to get reps, but because that can affect his standing in the clubhouse a little bit.
2 men aboard, and again, a 6-3 lead for the Mets this evening, and Scherzer's return to DC, trying to keep that record perfect.
As a player, you just never know when that opportunity is going to come, though. I mean, Dom is about to get his first at-bat of the season after a light delay, a rain delay.
3 rain delays.
Benches clearing, and then 4.5, hours into the game. Hey, get in the cage, get ready, you're about to hit. With 2 runners on.
Did you something that I always found interesting, talking to Brian Jordan back in the day, he kind of got to that point in his career, he became the bench guy. And so he said he never quit moving the whole game. He was doing push-ups off of the benches. He was running back through the cages. He was moving the whole time because he wanted to be that guy that was just hot whenever you said his name.
And that's understanding your body. Once you get older in the game, you better keep moving because once you stop, you're done. There's no getting back up.
Yeah, we're not even going to walk downstairs after this. We've been sitting here so long in the call.
Well, that's a lot of stairs. So you can do that. I might take the elevator. Although we've also been planted here for a while, and with the wind, we might have to get the frostbite off too.
Dom had a really good 2019 and then an exceptional 2020, but fell off below replacement level last year. So he's looking to prove that that was the aberration.
2-2, and he gets rung up on a curve by Espino.
Sometimes you're at risk of those generous calls. It's late in the game. I mean, not intentional, clearly, but I mean, there's a borderline pitch, breaking ball that I think is probably just a little bit off the plate. But close enough, you try to protect, but I think your natural instinct is to take a pitch that you don't think is a strike, and I don't think Dom thought that was a strike in this situation.
Robo-umps don't want to go home. That's the problem. We're going to be here forever when they come.
Automatic ball and strike zone. They've been tinkering with that a little bit. It used to sit at the very front of the plate, but it was a single dimension plane. They've now moved that to the middle.
That's true. That's an important thing for fans to remember when we talk about automated ball strikes, robo-umps. It's not just like, do you want it, do you not want it? They're tinkering with the strike zone, figuring out exactly what it should be, so that way we're not getting these crazy, unusual calls where a ball is in the dirt, but it just crossed the very bottom, technically according to that sort of robo zone.
It's been on their mind a lot. They don't want to replace the human element of the game. They just want it to be accurate as this pitch lifted out to left, and it sends itself foul.
I think whoever gets that foul ball can keep it, kid.
I think
or
she's
otherwise.
got it.
Yeah.
She picked her territory. And
when I was in Little League, that was the best thing in the world to do right there. Hit a foul home run. I would go home. I'd tell my mom, I hit a home run today. I mean, it was foul, but it would have went over the fence if it was fair.
So our first game, this is minor leagues 2019. No, she got a picture with it. Yeah, do it for your social media. But it was 2019, the first home run of the season for the minor league club that I was with is this one. Lifted out towards right, and it also is going to arc its way foul. Oh, look at that snag. Oh, the kid came ready
That's why you bring your glove to the game right there,
Mel.
Mel.
He's got the City Connect, and he's ready.
He's a plant, I think. They have him out there catching balls so they can advertise those City Connect jerseys.
What a snag.
Call off Soto.
And that's why you stick around. That's why you stick around. He'll remember that moment forever.
Our first home run of the 2019 season was actually a foul ball, but they called it a home run, and even after they challenged it, it upheld. And I will never forget that call as long as I live. It's for our team, so I'm not going to argue it.
Oh, absolutely. Homer's a homer.
The other guys didn't like it very much. 1-2 for Canna.
I love the energy the fans are still bringing.
They're making their own right now. Take a look here. They weren't happy.
That's such a finicky rule. Like, I still don't know. I played the game for 13 years, and I still don't know if that was a swing or not. Did he hold it up? Is it about breaking the wrist? Is it about, breaking the plane of the front of the plate?
So you make it like an invisible fence. You bury that line underneath, and then you put buzzers on the bats, and if the buzzer crosses the invisible fence, there you go. We're going to have automatic everything.
More tech in the game.
I was a purist, okay? So that's a lot for me to say right there.
Oh.
2-2.
Yeah.
First base umpire Jordan Baker, he went, and that's back-to-back strikeouts, back-to-back curveballs for Espino.
That long layaway not hurting Espino. Coming out here looking good.
I think a lot of times you see swings like this early in the season. The hitters are still trying to get their feel, still trying to feel their legs under them, and you start to see a lot of check swings early in the season. And right there, did the bat cross the plane of the front of the plates?
Oh, I didn't install the invisible fence yet, so I don't know.
I think he went.
Above my pay grade. The other great line of deferment. 2 on, 2 out. Mets 12 hits on the evening. And a big take there for McNeil.
Who's winning the competition right now? Mets fans versus Nats fans?
I think it might be the Mets fans. I'm sorry to say, DC. But you know what it is? I think it's because the Mets fans are all in from out of town. They have hotels nearby. The Nats fans live here. They got to take that subway system home. Doesn't it shut down at midnight? That's why they left.
And another big hack for McNeil. Yeah, I mean, if you're traveling out, that was kind of always our family's thing, was you were going to get every penny out of that sporting event that you paid for.
Absolutely. What's a 3-hour train ride from New York to D.C.?
Yeah.
I took the flight, but that's because I didn't know that it was such a short train ride.
It's easy to forget sometimes.
Amtrak, beautiful. I love it. I did take the flight, though. I say that like I took the train, but I didn't. I took the flight.
I drove, so both of you are just above me. In the dirt.
I took the flight because I thought we had a 4 p.m. game, which would have meant 12:30 Clubhouse. We did not have a 4 p.m. game. It was not 12:30 Clubhouse. I was here hours ahead of time. I could have taken the train. I could have taken 2 trains.
Jeff McNeil looks about ready to either put another one out of the park or just call that final out. 11:27. The Rowdy faithful hanging out in the lower bowl. One-two. Let's curve away.
There's more energy here in the stadium than it is outside. You can see downtown, right past center field, left center field wall. Not too much going on in the streets out here in D.C. This stadium, these fans are still rowdy, though.
You gotta love it, and you just saw Dave Martinez there in the dugout. He talked about it. He missed having the fans here to celebrate with them. And so they just kind of take pieces of it all throughout the season, just trying to bring back a little bit of that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, these fans, the Nats fans here, they want to be the fans that say, hey, we stuck around, we had your back. Y'all were only down 3 runs. We knew y'all were still in the game, and y'all came back and won. And we were here to see that early in the season.
Any of these fans in the stands right now, they're the ones that get the April tattoo of 2022 World Series champs.
Maybe not for this team.
This year?
Maybe on the Mets side. Yeah, maybe behind the visiting team dugout they're doing that.
There's a look at that. It's a nice little banner to have.
Probably more fans who are here who were rooting for the team in 2019 than Nationals players. I think Soto and Victor Robles are the only 2 position players from that 2019 team still here.
So hard to believe. 2-2. Some of his foul balls are going where no fans are.
Yeah, I can appreciate McNeil still grinding it out here. No, it's not a lot of fans here. No, it's not a loud full stadium, but these at-bats still count. You still got to lock it in. Nobody cares that you had to go into the clubhouse and sit there for 30, 45 minutes during the rain delay. Like, when you're in the box, you're there to battle. You're there to still to try to make something happen. So I applaud him for this at-bat that he's putting together right now. Hopefully he can come through.
Low again, that curveball missing all of a sudden for Espino.
I love this strikeout probability in the bottom right of the screen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. 17.24%.
I wonder if there's any player who steps in the box 0-0 count and the strikeout probability is 95%.
Oof, that's tough. This will be pitch number 8.
If we still had pitchers hitting, it would be some pitchers who would step in the box. And that strikeout probability will be through the roof.
Yeah, I need to calibrate my understanding of strikeout probability. I gotta keep an eye on it over the course of this season, start to figure out what it means. Is 17.24 good, bad?
McNeil up the middle, a ground ball with eyes. 1 run will score. He holds up at first, RBI single. Mets through all the delays, and they add on another run, 7-3 lead over the Nationals.
We may, just an idea, we may need to incorporate a hit probability.
Absolutely.
Because his hit probability right there was probably higher than 17%. It's a great piece of hitting, getting that ball through the middle of the field, finding a way to still tack on another run. That run may end up mattering, by the end of this game, and you see he's fired up about it.
He scores Alonso, moves Escobar from first to third.
And see why you called it. He grinded out that at-bat. He didn't want to go home. He was like, I'm here for real.
You have to find a way to make every single at-bat count. You can't afford to take at-bats off in this game.
He had 30 minutes of magic left, and so far he's had a good night. You're going to take advantage of that. Tomas Nido lifts this one into center, playable for D. Gordon. Underneath, and he has it. So the 9th finally comes to a close as we head to the bottom of the frame. Nationals need 4. Sean Reed Foley due up. You're watching Friday Night Baseball.
A team we aim to win. Yeah, right now the show begins. Time to go. It's time to go right now. Get ready.
And welcome back, Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV+. Get a good look there at Josh Bell. And don't forget, after the game, we've got some post-game work coming for you here. You can see a little preview of it presented by SoFi. The studio show, we got LG and the rest of the crew holding it down. I think Carlos Pena's still hanging in there with us. He might have told her, hey, I've done this before. This is your turn to pinch hit.
I'm sure Los is sticking around for the after party.
He's a solid one. Sean Reed Foley on the mound for the Mets. Just their 3rd reliever of the evening. So they're just 12 games last season. Little inflated ERA.
He's got a fresh start, 4-seamer, 94 miles an hour that he uses over 6% of the time, slider and a changeup.
How about this earlier from Josh Bell?
I mean, there's nothing like touching something like that ever. There's no better feeling in the world than hitting a sweet spot of the bat and seeing that thing jump.
Double-decker, Nimmo and Marte just said goodbye.
I mean, Josh Bell has major power from both sides. I mean, go out there and hit 30 homers every single year. I mean, he's really coming to himself. Even after getting out of Pittsburgh, being over here with the Nationals, it seems like he really loves the environment that he's in. It's going to pay off for him.
146 games, 28 home runs. He was drafted with that power hitter profile by Pittsburgh.
Hit 37 home runs for the Pirates in 2019 in a breakout season. Hasn't replicated it since, but maybe this is the year.
Well, you've seen him a little bit come into his own. He takes a golf swing there. You know, he's gotten into a better shape that's more conducive for his frame. You can kind of see some of that flexibility, that range of motion coming back in. And you're watching that with guys across the league. And, you know, the biggest one we talk about all the time is up in Toronto with Vlad Guerrero Jr.
And the main thing he's been working on is getting that whiff rate down.
Well, this one on the ground. Guillorme over to first. Didn't meet that 61% reach probability there, CY. Set down on the infield.
But he also didn't whiff.
Didn't whiff.
He's working on that.
You're right. That's a good point, Hannah. I mean, his strikeout percentage dropped 10% last season. That's a huge drop for a player to be able to make that type of adjustment. And it shows that although he has the power, he continues to work on, you know, spreading out, getting his foot down maybe a little bit earlier, and focusing on putting the ball in play. Sometimes when you're that strong, you can have a little hitter's, like a small hitter's approach, because even if you shorten up, you can still drive the ball out of the park. And I think he's learning that right now.
Keibert Ruiz, he's firing away. Heads up to Brooke and our camera crew down there. That one ricochets over into the well. He's got nearly half, 2 of 5 of the Nationals hits this evening.
I mean, for the Nationals, if they get a, you know, top end 1, 2, or 3 starter out of Josiah Gray and an everyday catcher that's dependable, that can hit for average and hit for power, like Ruiz has the potential to do. In the long term, the move that they made, you know, to get Scherz and Trey Turner out of there for these guys may end up paying off for them in the near future if they can rebuild quickly.
He's batting .571 on the season.
That's what I always love. The first week of stats, you're like, man, everybody's so good. Everybody's above 400.
Yeah, it's always weird to be in a place to where when you go 1 for 3, like your average drops.
Unless you're a relief pitcher who gave up 1 run. Then the beginning of the season is rough.
Yeah, relief guys who would give up 5 or 6 in 1/3 of an inning. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot of work to get that down.
Still better. We've seen a few infinity ERAs over the last couple of years. Those are really tough to get back down.
When you start taking the stats seriously, what point in the season do you start thinking, okay, I can actually talk about his average or his OPS on the broadcast?
That's a really good question. For me, as a hitter, it was at 100 at bats, you start to see it fluctuate, you know, a little slower. It's dropping 2 or 3 points at a time. Once you start to get to the 250 mark, you start to have at bats where it wouldn't change too much from at bat to at bat. So I would say, I mean, you need at least about 250 of them to really start counting what type of season it looks like you're going to have.
Fly ball, center field. Nimmo has it. Ruiz, 2 down.
I was talking to Billy Epler, the Mets' new GM, earlier today, and he talked about sort of a big picture when you start to take a season seriously. He said that he views the season in 3 chunks. There's that first chunk where you're finding out who you are as a team, your strengths, your weaknesses. Then there's a second chunk where you're addressing those weaknesses, shoring up those strengths. That's where you can make improvements. And then there's the third and final chunk of the season, which he views as the time to start looking ahead to the postseason, hopefully, and thinking about what else you might need or what kind of different profile you need to have to succeed in the postseason.
Ground ball, McNeil to first, and that's ball game. Max Scherzer stays perfect when he returns to former ball clubs as the Mets take care of business 7-3 tonight over the Nationals, game 2 of this 4-game series. And again, a reminder, don't go anywhere. Post-game show presented by SoFi is coming up next. Our crew has got all of that for you. Handshakes all around. Birthday boy just